Welcome
Yo.
to the H-Town, a hometown podcast with Jose, Edwin, and I. I don't think anybody's listening because we just went live. How fast do you think it takes someone to actually view when we're live?
I'm not sure. I wonder. Do we got anybody listening now? Nope, still no viewers, but that's okay. Yeah, it is Thursday, April 8th, guys.
It's my boy Pedro's birthday.
Happy birthday, Pedro. Yo, shout out to Pedro, man. He's always been good.
Yo, Pedro is probably like the coolest person.
Pedroca.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who actually doesn't like Pedro. Pedro's always been genuine to every person I've met and be genuine to, if that makes any sense.
No facts.
A sweetheart, I think.
A sweetheart.
Nah, he's the realest person alive.
Yeah.
So today's what, April 8th?
April 8th, guys.
All right, let's start off something by, just talk gratitude. Michael?
Gratitude, huh?
Gratitude is my attitude. I'm hot. I'm a fly as I'm a...
You give me one bar.
Just one bar.
You don't want my bars. You don't keep it real enough for my bars.
Yeah, right.
This is a family-friendly show. I can't...
Family friendly.
Too real.
I'm grateful. Let's see. Grateful. Well, how about this? Grateful.
He asked me first. Yeah, he asked me first. I'm going first.
Oh, okay, Michael.
I just want to say shout out to DMX.
Hey, look at that jersey though.
That's sad. Yeah, look at this.
Yep, there you go.
I'm grateful for the lessons that I've learned throughout my life through music. Specifically, one unfortunate event that happened recently.
Yeah.
With DMX, he taught me a lot of life lessons through his music.
Oh yeah, I know, dude.
And I just was reading about it a couple minutes ago that his family has to make a choice because his brain's not functioning. But I'm grateful for my life. I've come a long way in my life. I don't know if 10-year-old me would be proud of me, but 31-year-old me is proud of me, so that's all that matters. You know what I'm saying?
That sounded deep. That sounded heavy right there.
Well, think of the 10-year-old version of yourself. You expect yourself to be a quadruple trillionaire. You know what I'm saying? The 10-year-old version of yourself is going to look at you oh my God, what is wrong with you? You live in an apartment. You don't own a mansion. You're not in the NBA. Jose, you're not in the MLS. What's wrong with you?
Not in the NFL.
Edwin, you're not playing baseball?
I mean, why? Because I'm Spanish? I said NFL.
I said Dominican.
Well, I'm not Dominican. I'm not Dominican, Bobby. Yeah, so what would my 10-year-old self tell me right now? Sheesh.
My 10-year-old self would cuss me out.
Yeah, mine would too, I guess. They'd be like, you didn't become a doctor?
10-year-old me was kind of ruthless.
And then 13-year-old or 14-year-old me would have been like, you're not rich? Trash. But such is life. That's why it's called fairy tales when you're younger.
Yeah, 10-year-old me be like, damn, Mike, you got a fly car. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah, 10-year-old me would like my car.
Yeah, you got a Honda Civic, right?
No. Hell no.
You got a Volkswagen.
Yo, Jose's your car's a Civic SI. I remember.
I got a Volkswagen.
Back in the day.
Yeah, I got a Lincoln MKZ.
I know you do.
If you had the possibility to do an upgrade on your ride, what would it be?
Just a single upgrade?
Well,
you mean change the car?
The possibility of maybe not a Lambo, but something that's tangible, right? Something that you would want.
I get a new car?
And that you could do it.
I want the Hummer, the electric Hummer that's coming out next year.
Yeah, my next car is a Tesla.
Dude, Hummer's making an electric Hummer.
Well, that's awesome and all, but
it's 400 miles per charge.
Yeah, it's still probably going to be too big to hit the road.
Dude, This is America. Live a little. Get a big car. You live in the suburbs. You don't need a.
This is true, but do you remember driving near a Hummer or whatever? The thing was always loud. It was always too wide for the road. Like, no, I'm all set.
They're remaking it. Have you seen like new SUVs? They're narrower.
Did you guys see the new Bronco? I don't know if it came out.
I did see the Bronco.
I thought it was going to look cooler than it did. The commercials made it look better. I seen it.
I like it
in person, and I was like, eh.
Yeah.
I like the Explorers.
I'd like a white one.
But really, what I want to upgrade to is a Toyota 4Runner.
It's with Toyota?
A Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
Like a toy Yoda. 4Runner. Yeah. That has the off-road packages, like installed in it. So it's like $60,000, but that thing is awesome.
No, they're. I mean, their name stands for something, you know, like every Toyota.
They have the force,
and they're worth a lot. Like even
they retain their value.
Yeah.
My car cost $50,000 when it came out. I bought it for $14,000, and 4 years later, like it's ridiculous.
How about we open up this discussion and ask anybody watching, what tangible car are you looking to upgrade to? What do you have now, and what are you looking to get?
I have a Lincoln MKZ and a Jeep. I have 2 cars.
Yeah. So do I.
One's your wife's.
Still mine.
Is it in your name? Is it because your wife's illegal? You don't have to say it.
Michael's speaking about himself. His situation.
Oh my God, Michael!
I got my vaccine today.
You got your vaccine?
Yeah.
Oh. So you're gonna be a zombie?
I'm actually having incredible Wi-Fi right now because of the 5G hotspot implanted in my arm.
You're a fool. This guy.
Well,
can I say something about vaccines real quick? Just something.
You can say whatever you want. This is an open forum.
This is not going to be anything bad, Jose.
All right.
People need to stop pretending they're experts. You know, I don't know anything about vaccines. I'm not pharmaceutical. Like, I can look at research. I didn't do my own experiments. I have no idea what goes into the vaccine, what the side effects are, besides what's being presented to me. But we as a society need to stop picking sides and act like we actually know. You know,
yeah,
because we're all just ignorant of it. Like you can be like a little uncomfortable with it and not understand it, and that's fine. You can have your fear, and that can make you not get it. That's cool and all, but stop trying to act like you know, because none of us know. We didn't develop it.
Which is true, Mike. But also look at this. Look at all the history books, dude. History. There's so much lies in history. So like,
history's all lies.
Just because you're saying an expert should know, who's to say that expert isn't lying to you? Both.
Well, I'm saying the person who like developed it, like the pharmaceutical, they're the only ones who really know. Like the people who studied it.
But are they factually actually telling you correct?
No, I'm not saying they're telling us. I'm saying they're the only ones who know. Like they could be lying to us on paper.
Oh, of course.
Like, and yeah, but like I'm saying, like. The only people who know is them. It's like when you ask someone something and they tell you something, they know if it's true and God knows if it's true. There's only 2 people who know.
But do you put enough trust into what they're telling you? That's where the underlying issue.
I'm too ignorant to make that.
And you also have one entity telling you one thing, and you have another entity telling you another thing. And who are you supposed to listen to?
I would say the one entity that's actually in the industry.
Just all I know is I'm not becoming a zombie.
I'll be the guinea pig for the podcast. No pun intended.
We'll see them all tweaking out when it happens.
When I survive the zombie apocalypse and you guys become zombies.
No, because I'm not taking it. So therefore,
that's right. You become a zombie. I'm immune to the zombie outbreak.
You would be a zombie.
Edwin, did you give me your reasoning? Something you're grateful for?
I said I'm grateful to
Mike for getting the vaccine.
See another day.
Yeah.
I'm always grateful to see another day.
Yeah.
That's the same thing I said, dude.
Well, so it's not FDA approved. That's all I know. Exactly.
Yo, the FDA poisons us also. Let's just say that out there, right?
This is true. Listen, all I will say is this. This is my last comment on the subject, and we will move. Right?
Go for it.
So everyone's making it a big deal about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Let me just remind you that their baby powder gave hundreds and thousands of people cancer. Okay?
Hey,
Let me just tell you that.
you know what's gave thousands of people cancer? Sunlight.
This is true.
So
But it's like if this like
I don't
use
trust
it like
I don't trust these companies.
So I use it like this analogy because this is what I know in banking. If you're going to a bank or a credit system and they screw you over, and there's documented proof that they screwed tons of people over, are you going to go back to them when they supposedly reopen?
Well,
Or are you going to pick a new financial system?
Let me ask you this: is your credit good or is it bad?
Don't worry about that, Michael.
Because that's important. Because if your credit's good, you can go to any bank you want. But if it's bad,
This is true. Well, of course, but also to tell you, if your credit's bad, you can't really get into a credit union.
I got into a credit union, but I also have like special powers.
Well, you probably had to be an affiliate of something.
Yeah, you know my affiliation was? I'm Michael Monroe.
Hey, what's the Volkswagen Jetta?
The
Not the
Volkswagen
Jetta.
Jetta?
She wants the Atlas, right?
She wants the
Yeah.
Atlas. Yeah.
The Atlas is nice. That's the SUV, right?
Yeah.
It's like a Ford Explorer, but a Volkswagen.
Word.
Yeah.
And then her
I
dream
want a
car
Ford
is the
Explorer.
Range Rover.
Yeah,
those
she's
ones
always
are nice,
wanted the Range Rover.
for sure. Yeah, that's
Range
like
Rover is
I can relate to that. Though.
garbage.
I think my
That was
I
my
think my
dream
next
car when I
car-
was like 12.
I think it's still a dream car for a lot of us. But I would say an Audi, like the probably the
Ooh,
biggest
okay.
Audi. I want to say the sedan, so like a 4-door car. So I got kids
The
and stuff, so I always
A4, US
yeah,
Quattro,
or
A6,
or an SUV, the 7. I want to say, is that the biggest one
the
there is out there?
Q7.
The Q7 or the latest one, the biggest one, whatever the biggest SUV, so I can put half
So
a
you
team,
could put
half
the
a soccer
kiddos
team
in
in
there?
there.
Sounds like you
Okay.
want the electric Hummer.
Yeah, no.
I'm telling you, just get it. Get some
It
solar panels out back.
sounds like you want the Atlas with the third row.
I just want to say that
I'm not a fan
Volkswagen
of
came
the
from Nazi
Volkswagen.
Germany.
Yeah, I was.
If we're going to talk about Johnson and Johnson poisoning people,
Yeah.
how many people did Nazi Germany poison?
Yeah, you guys
Um,
are wild. I did
oh dear.
kind of know. I knew a little bit about that fact. I'm not a
Well,
big fan of the Volkswagen. For
And the
some
Hummer
reason.
has been going around liberating people. So you can
Like
be
I
liberated
said.
or poisoned. Choose. Pick your poison.
so let's at least get into what today's about, right? He's not here
Yeah.
yet. Our guest isn't available yet, but we're going to be bringing on a guest from Hudson, the Hudson community. He's going to be another candidate for the select board. We know we had Sean on, want to say 2 weeks back now, 3 weeks back. 3 weeks back because 3 weeks ago we had Sean on here where he's running for select board as well, and he gave us his insight.
Sean's the man.
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm for anyone that is looking to make positive change to the community. You know
I
what
still
mean?
don't understand what they're running for. Is
Select
Sean running
board.
to be? They're all running for the select board. How many people are on the board?
5, I think, is what he told me.
I think 5 total.
Is
and
it there
then
a
So-
select? Is there like a select board chair?
So
I
there's
think-
what do you call it? There's I think he said there's like a chairman or something like that.
Yeah,
but the
Hudson
select
just needs
board,
to become a city and get a mayor, make it easier.
well, yeah, but there's like a what is when you
Is that-
when you don't have a mayor and your town is
Is-
too small? What is
yeah,
it?
is
It's
that
Town
based on-
manager.
Is that
town
based on?
selectmen. Selectmen.
Yeah, is that based on the people, right? The amount of people that live in it.
Yeah,
The
No,
residents?
it's just a vote that they do. Like if,
Yeah.
like
So
the town will vote if it wants to be a city or not.
They're looking for 2 seats. Is that correct? I think
No,
2.
one.
1 or 2.
I think.
No, Mike Burks is running too. Is
I think
that the
one.
dad or is that the officer?
Who?
I saw Michael Burks. I wonder if it's the one we went to school with or the, I don't know the dad.
I think it's the officer.
Officer Burks? Why would he become a selectman when he was just like the chief of police?
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, because he's
Is it?
he's
Yeah.
because he's no longer chief.
He probably gets a fat pension. That's still.
Yeah, yeah, I know. So Officer Burks is running for select board as well.
I should have become a police.
So, but that's what I'm saying. I think it's only one seat, and there's 5 people running. So, but
Ricky's running again.
Huh?
We can ask Ricky a little bit more about this stuff.
Yeah, as soon as he jumps on, I think, like I said, he's going to be on around 8:30 because he got out of work around 8 o'clock.
Have you had any classes with Ricky in school?
No,
I had
year younger, right? I think he's like
2 years younger than us.
Yeah,
2 years younger.
Well, he's like 5 years younger than me, but that's something different.
Well, I mean, like
he was a sophomore when we were seniors. I had one class with him my senior year.
He graduated 2012, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I used to call him a freshman. He used to get mad, but he was a sophomore.
Yeah.
I'm like, Ricky, stop being such a freshman. He's like, dude, I'm a sophomore.
Mike was a bully.
That's not even that. Like, okay. Do you remember Ricky in high school?
I do.
Okay, and you can tell me calling him a sophomore. That's bullying.
Well, no, but depends on your demeanor.
My demeanor was just to pick on him without being personal or like saying anything mean.
What's the need, right, Edwin? What is the need behind
Mike
picking
picked on everybody, though. It wasn't
what's the need?
I mean, in his
the
defense,
was he was annoying.
Come on now, I
don't remember what the purpose was. I would just do it, like, yo.
Mike picked on everybody, though. It didn't matter if you were a social pariah or if you were, one of those kids that didn't have many friends. Mike talked to everybody. So when I say pick on, though, it's not like he bullied anybody. It's like
I was on a hit list.
You're probably on 10 of them.
Michael, you are gonna have to give us an episode on why you have to dissect and go back and peel those layers so we can understand why,
like an onion,
it is that you did. Yeah,
why?
It is that you did. You don't have to do it now. However,
no. But like, why does there have to be a reasoning? Why can't I just do something? I think it's amusing.
No, there has to be. There's always
like
a reason.
Edwin, why do you always play with me? And why do you always play with me in class?
What do you mean, play with you? That sounds weird.
Like, reach under my desk.
Reach under your desk? That sounds even weirder.
Whoa.
Why would you? How come every time in English class you sat next to me, you rested your palm on my knee?
What?
Huh?
Your
all
palm
right,
on my knee?
you know what? We're gonna move on. Hey, Edwin, can you do that friendly reminder again for all of our
what is the friendly reminder? It's give me 1 second, y'all. It's if you guys want to share any comments, you have to go to streamyard.com/Facebook. Yes, like an onion. Mike is like an ogre. He's got many layers.
You see, like you assume like someone has to like pick on somebody or something because like they're damaged or they feel bad about themselves. Like, but it was just fun to me. Like I would watch Chappelle Show, watch like the hater thing. I just found it so amusing.
Well, like for behind that, I understand what you're saying.
There's no reasoning. Like,
there's
none. No, but I guess, Jose, look at it like this. Mike would look at like stand-up comedy or shows or whatever, and he would get jokes from that, found it funny, and then he'd go in to his friends and people he knew and play the exact same joke.
Exactly. Like it was rare. Like I'll go up to somebody and just like whoop on them for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like any joke that I said that was like mean or risky was just me trying to find where the line was.
Michael used to always come over to me and put his head under my shirt. I don't know why.
What?
Yo, I used to go up to Jamie Scoville in the hallway and I would grab him like this and just pull him to the ground.
It's so rude.
Him and Anthony D'Amico, like I would just walk up behind him like, got you. I would block their nose with my index and my thumb, and then I would cuff their lips so they couldn't breathe. And whenever they fought it, they would just fall to the ground. Mike
was too aggressive. Yeah. You guys remember when people used to
sack tap? Michael, I think we're gonna have to.
No, not sack tap because no. But do you remember when people used to put thumbtacks right here and they come up to you and go?
Oh, I never did that.
That's wild. Y'all were just on another type of.
I can't. I don't understand why you just don't think people just want to be amused like that. Why there has to be a reason behind it.
There's always a
Because
reason behind
it's
everything.
the type of or your choice. It's the lane that you went with. I think
The reason behind it is because it
it's not
amused
just
me.
it's not
But
just amusing just to be amusing. It's the kind of jokes or the way
yeah,
Why did little kids play with
acted.
fire trucks?
but at the same time, Jose, remember this is also young adolescence where we were very immature and we found the funniest things
Yeah, like it's,
really funny. Well, we found the stupidest things really funny. Where now you're just kind of like, okay, like you know what I mean? Like somebody would burp in the middle of class and everyone would start laughing. Why?
yo. I remember on my 13th birthday at the remember the music room in JFK across from the I farted so loud that someone down by the bubbler heard it when they walked into the classroom. They're like, who did it? It was
Yeah, you're a clown.
it was so loud, and everybody was just dying laughing, and they just all like looking at me. But I just looked at somebody else. The person to my right, I was just like,
Yo,
so everyone's looking at.
Mike was the type of kid that would let out a little rip that stunk, go around a group of people and then be like, "Yo, who did that?"
I'm like, damn, someone farted.
For real.
I hit him with the. You smelled it, you dropped it.
Except some of us still think passing gas is hilarious.
Yeah.
No, I think it's so funny. I say it's frogs. I call it frogs. I look at my wife and I'm like, "Do you hear those frogs?" And I'm just like,
Yo, I call them barking spiders.
that's just funny. That's just a funny words. No, why do you call them barking spiders?
Barking spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 second.
Take your time, buddy.
I'm thinking for one, something. I feel like I gotta know who these viewers are.
Oh yeah, guys. Like I said, go to facebook.com/StreamYard. That way that you can present your name on the comments.
Just so we can honor you. I'm gonna go.
Jose
Facebook.
wants to honor you.
Yeah, just so we can say what up. Like if we haven't
Who wants to smell your barking spider?
Oh, that's Leo. Shout out to Leo. Shout out to Anna.
Leo said barking spiders legit, bro. I heard that before. Telling you.
I never heard that before. That sounds like a idiom in another language. Like
you never heard that though? Yo,
like,
you want to know how I heard it though? Want to know how I heard it? So it was like 5 years ago, something like that. I was at I was at Hanover when I used to work at Hanover, in the IT help desk, and one of the older gentlemen, I don't know what happened, but I don't know where he just let one rip. And it was just like everyone looked and everyone kind of like laughed, smiled, and he was like, "You know what? I don't know what to tell you. It's these goddamn barking spiders." And I was like, that just made me laugh. I was on the floor. So I took that from him.
I would have took that too. I wish I came up with that.
You are on StreamYard, but what you have to do is go to that link, like I said, with facebook.com/stream. Wait, give me 1 second. What'd I say?
It says it at the
StreamYard. Sorry, it's streamyard.com/Facebook. Let me type it in the comments.
What's the funniest thing you remember, Jose?
In regards to what?
Just in general.
School.
No, not school. Just in your life, like the funniest thing you can remember.
Oh.
Funniest thing I can remember. Oh dear.
Yeah, mine's probably when I farted in 7th grade.
Who?
I feel like there's not one thing, but there's just many times where I felt like a lot of things were funny. Probably the most relatable, but I want to say with comedy, right? Like talking about Dave Chappelle, like you would watch Dave Chappelle. I didn't really find him that much, like,
because he was stupid funny.
Yeah, it was. See, that's not my lane of like comedy, but Cat Williams for me was kind of like
he's stupid funny too.
Yeah, this is also the guy that thinks J. Cole is better than Kendrick Lamar. Come on.
Oh my god.
So, it makes sense. He's like, yeah.
It doesn't have to be personal. You know that, right?
Not
Come
at
on.
first.
No, I understand though.
You know why though?
Yeah,
I think,
I like Cat Williams, but
Cat
after
Williams
like
was
the
the,
second show, I was like, eh.
but that's the thing though, because a lot of them get old, right? Like maybe the first like show, stand up, second one, and then by the time that they reach it, third, fourth, and then they get washed real quick. I think I don't know.
yeah, good, Leo.
And a lot of the times, it's like stand-up comedy doesn't really have watchability. Like the first time you watch it, you laugh. The
Yeah.
second time you watch it with someone else, you wanted to see if they like it.
I mean,
And
I'll
then
tell
the
you,
third time, you just kind of like, okay, it's just background noise.
by the time Cat Williams had his third stand up, that's when it kind of got a little like.
Well, he was
plain.
it was like he was playing a character too. Like he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
But I can only take Money Mike so much, you know?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
But
heard
like
that.
the same thing with Kevin Hart though. I feel like
Yeah.
the last couple ones haven't been that funny.
Yeah. The funniest one I think I say is Eddie Murphy Raw or Patrice O'Neill.
That's a classic though. You're telling me a classic.
Yo. Or Run Tell That by Martin Lawrence. Or even Eddie Griffin. Eddie Griffin. I think Jose would like Eddie Griffin.
He's very underrated.
Yo, Eddie Griffin. Yo, he has the most
He's-
messed up joke.
Hey, he's an actor though, right?
Well, he's a comedian, but yeah, they act too.
Okay.
He's like, how does Jesus whistle? I was like,
What?
yo.
Watch your mouth, Michael.
What, dude?
I'm just teasing, bro.
You can't
Relax.
Oh
Relax.
my god.
What, dude?
Hey,
What?
All right. So,
Well, Jose, what are you grateful for? You asked us. How about you?
I'm grateful for my family, for my kids. Good job, Michael. I'm grateful for my friends. And I'm grateful because, yeah, I mean, besides just another day, I feel like every day we get the opportunity to restart, whether that's motivation, whether that's just like for you to reset your mentality and your view, your perspective. And I feel like sometimes my days they start well, they go down, they get rough during the day, and then throughout the day I have the opportunity to just change that. But then the beginning of each day I feel like it's the most clear opportunity that I can see, that where it's just like, okay, today is going to be a different day if I so desire, or decide to think that way or to look at it that way. And my kids, I have all my family's good, my little ones are good, the lady's good, um and like you guys said, life itself.
Yeah. No, I mean those are all good values or good points to be grateful for.
You guys find it to be struggling as of lately in any aspect of your lives, like going through a funk or something, or everything you think
I just feel like it's tedious and repetitive.
I feel like every day is the same.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, every day is the same, and then like the
Yo,
weekend.
Wait, Jose,
then-
let me see that mug again.
No, bring it higher. We can't see it. Bring it closer. No,
Did you get that at Walmart?
beautiful life.
'Cause that looks like my mug, except for different. It has a little cover on it, right?
on the top.
Yeah, right. Wait 1 second. Let me see.
I got it as a gift. My boss, my supervisor, my team leader gave it to me at work.
Yeah, truly, it's all repetitive. It really is. But I mean, that's why if you think about it, though, like, not to sound corny or anything, but that's why I enjoy doing this every Thursday, and we try to do it Mondays as well. Like, it's something different that we don't do normally every day. You know what I mean? And it's also a way to kind of catch up with friends, and then bring friends on, or bring people on, and we just talk basically. You see it every week. We have these two and a half hour shows, and time goes by like this, and it's like we could sit here for 4 or 5 hours talking, really. But without getting too far in, it feels like work.
It doesn't feel like work.
No, it doesn't, because you're
Maybe
having.
one day it will.
Hopefully, this is work one day. This is hopefully what I hope to get into is more broadcast and more radio. But
I was was gonna ask you guys about just the show itself. Sort of like where do you see yourself going in
I see
general
myself being COO soon.
with creativity? Just kind of like with your own dreams and aspirations or projects or whatever it is that you wanted to do at some point, and now maybe you see that it is possible.
Yeah.
I was thinking about quitting my job, starting an OnlyFans with pictures of my calves.
Uh,
Oh my God, Mike.
is Ricky in? Is that
Yeah, he is in. I was gonna bring him in now, but I wanted you guys to answer this last
Oh,
question.
do you want my second option?
Yeah, what's your second option?
Starting a Patreon and just showing pictures of my calves on the Patreon.
So regardless, it's showing pictures of your calves.
Yeah, I get a lot
Okay.
of compliments for my calves.
Hey.
I got some nice calves. You've seen them.
Anyways, me like it's no surprise that obviously I look good on a mic, and like it sounds free flowing for me. So hopefully, maybe that's something that I like to continue pursuing. Mike has his own project. I think Jose's gonna probably do his own thing on the side. Jose's always a master at craft, and my project is coming soon on the side, and I'll also be releasing that. But it's in the beginning stages. But Jose, how about you? Before I bring in Ricky.
Yeah, I would love to see you guys shine. I mean, I think one of my own personal goals behind this project was specifically with both of you, which I think were the two cats that I saw the most consistent on Facebook, whether it be jokes, whether it be anything, but just always, just
Yeah,
and so it's you guys have a taste for the media, right? So I think for me to see you guys thrive in your own projects, that's a win for me.
yeah,
um and second, I think I just want it to be what it's supposed to be, this project, and then anything else in my life, really, whether it be music, whether it be anything else in the media aspect. I just want it to
okay,
be what it's supposed to be, not what I want it to be, but what it's supposed to be for the
yeah,
greater picture. That's where my heart is with
yeah.
anything that I do.
At the end of the day, even like we're still in the middle of this pandemic. Like, yeah, things are moving, north, and it looks like better
South.
horizon. Well, whatever. Looks like better horizons are coming, but like everyone has to have a hobby to get them through this, and like find something you're passionate about and have fun. But I'm gonna bring in Ricky, and I want him to introduce himself. So let's go ahead and bring him on.
Hi, how's it going, guys?
Yo,
Hey,
yo,
Ricky,
yo,
how's it going?
yo.
Doing good. Living the high life.
There you go.
Yo, can you turn your microphone down a little bit, Ricky?
Oh,
I don't know if because he's got a headset. I don't know if
But there might be like a little switch on the side.
Michael,
you might be
Edwin,
able to on the computer settings, Ricky, like where the microphone is. You might be able to bring that down.
Edwin, I think you have access to every single one of our.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Give me 1 second.
So if you
No, I
Uh,
don't. No, I don't.
you do.
No,
It's
I don't.
Jose, the IT guy.
I'm checking it.
There's a way.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Ricky, now talk.
can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, much better. Yep.
Much better.
Okay,
Much better. All
awesome.
right, you're good.
Okay, awesome. So, just to introduce myself, hi, my name's Ricky. I graduated from Hudson High in 2012, and I'm running for selectman this year. I work over at the Cumberland Farms on Central Street. I just got a second job, so now I'm working there on weekends, which is a fun time. I like talking to people. I like customer service,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm largely running because I'm kind of concerned about maintaining the community. Gentrification is such a big issue across Massachusetts as the border of Metro Boston just moves further and further west. I don't know how many people I know who moved out of town just because the cost of living is so high.
I mean, I can tell you, none of us live in Hudson anymore, and Mike myself and Jose, we were all raised in Hudson pretty much.
Mhm.
At least Jose and I, we were there for a good 10 years or more. And Mike, I think, what, 8, 9 years? 7, 8 years, something like that?
Let's see, I'm 31. I just moved to Worcester. I lived in South Carolina for like 5 years. Lived in Marble for like 4 years. I don't know, probably like 20 years. Most of the majority of my life, like I moved from Hudson.
Yeah.
I lived in Hudson from when I was like 3 till 5, and then from 10 to 15, 14, and then 15 to like 21, and then 25 till like a month ago. So
well, exactly. Like, and I did grades 1 through 12. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
But I think you probably didn't hear because I think you were at work when we started, or you were getting home from work. I'm not sure, but we actually were discussing, and we do remember you from school. I know you were a couple years younger than us, or a couple grades under us, but we were talking about how we all remember you from school, and so I guess why don't you dive in a little bit deeper, kind of explain your journey since those high school days and what you've been doing.
So, after I graduated from Hudson High, I went to QCC and graduated there with an associate's with liberal arts, and then I went to UMass Amherst and graduated with a degree in political science. The whole time I was in school, I worked at companies. One here, one on Washington, and one out in Amherst. And I went through like my own personal journey since Hudson High. I was really socially conservative and really had issues with myself and my identity as a gay man. I didn't come out till I was like 24. That's like a really big deal to me, just because now I've built a dedication towards social liberalism. I don't want people to ever feel the same way that I did. I want to see all different types of people everywhere, so everyone will always feel that they can achieve their dreams regardless of their identity. And besides that, now I'm just paying off the bill from school. And I always tell people, I did it for cheap, and all I owe is 40,000, which everyone older than us, everyone's like, what, 40,000? That's not cheap. But relative to some other people's bills, that's on the cheaper side.
Yeah.
No,
that's quite a bit. I mean, like you said, most people most schools or whatever is like 25 a semester. So you know what I mean, or like big schools, a lot of kids go for 4 years and it's 25,000 a semester. Imagine that. So 40,000 is on the cheaper side, but still. But that's a whole nother subject and issue with the schools. So I guess I'll start out by I listened in on your debate style like interview with Sean the other day.
That was quite the regimen, by the way. I was like, dang, everybody's so uptight there.
Well, I mean, so I paid attention and I listened. Unfortunately, I'm not in Hudson, so my vote, I can't vote. I have no say, but it's still a part of us as a community. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point of our podcast, is to reach out to the community and to share insights and share knowledge or anything that's going on. So when you reached out to me a few weeks back where you wanted to join, we definitely wanted you to have you on. One, because we already knew you. Two, you're so close to our age where we probably know a lot of the same crowd or people from Hudson High and from those days. And three, just listening to you explain, and I know you ran last year, right?
Yeah.
You ran last year, and I had already known that, but I wasn't really, like I said, I'm not in Hudson, so I wasn't really a part of that conversation and subject. But it was just refreshing to see that you're running again, and your perspective and ideas on what you want to bring. So, Jose or Mike, do you guys have any questions before I ask them anything?
So I saw you. I don't know if it was. I forget what it was, but I saw you talk about rent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all know rent in Hudson is atrociously high.
Yeah.
Why? No, it's not why. Why?
Because it's Hudson.
Like, well,
Yeah.
no, it just doesn't make sense to me. And the why is like, I never understood why landlords want your rent to be like 30, 40% of what you make and didn't have the rent 30 or 40% of what you actually make, you know? Like for me to get this apartment in Worcester, it's like $1,500. It's ridiculous.
No, tell
Right?
me
That
about
if
it.
it was just me by myself living here, and it's a one bedroom, it's like probably 60% of my monthly income.
Which
Yeah.
yeah,
So like how like and running for the select board, like how would you even go about rent prices? Because it's controlled by landlords. And they probably all talk with each other like, oh, I'm charging this much. Okay, I can charge that much. You know?
Well, for me, I think it starts with prioritization. I think that Hudson's really focused on economic revitalization. We focused on it for the last 10 years. And one of the side effects of that, of course, is the rising cost of living. Um, just like the water issues that we had, it was one of the first things after the election is they had a forum on water. I think that we should have a forum on the cost of living and all different groups and advocacy groups. I think that we need to come together and we need to have a deeper discussion on that. Um, I think that it takes all levels of government, but one thing I believe that a selectman is a representative of the community because they are a community leader. And I think that it's the responsibility to be buzzing in the ear of our higher elected officials to do something about it. And I think that it can start at a local level. We just need to get together and figure out a solution that will work for us. I think that I believe that towns work almost like laboratories of democracy in the regard that like we can try things in our town, we can advocate for things in our town, and on the state level, on the state level, we can be an example. So I like to
yeah.
explore that and see what we can do.
So I'm gonna display one of these comments because I honestly agree with this as well. So, and it's very true. I feel like not as just a joke, but like you look at these rental properties and they're asking 14, 15, 8, like in Hudson, it's like 16 to like $1,900 for just a 1 to 2 bedroom, and it's like,
Yeah.
but you look at these apartments and it's like nothing has been. Nothing has been remodeled in the last 5 years. It's an apartment that if you went back in time 10 to 12 years ago, it looks exactly the same. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so you expect me to pay this much, but like the appliances are wicked out of date. Well, Mike dropped. The appliances are wicked out of date. I feel like the houses themselves aren't being fixed or up to code with like electric or wiring or plumbing, because that all takes into account as well, because if you have an old plumbing system, you're going to be spending more water than the person near you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you're going to be using more water than the person near you, and then that brings up their bill. I understand you don't really pay for water when you're a tenant, but that's one of the reasons why they can get away with charging you more.
Yeah.
And like you said, it really just starts with a conversation or a forum of having renters, homeowners, landlords, and your town select board as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I know it's not just an issue in Hudson, it's an issue for a lot of the towns around us. It's something that we could tackle regionally. We, as a region, we've done a lot of other initiatives, and I think it's something that we should prioritize and something that we can work on together.
Yeah. No, true. I think Mike's back. Hold on, let me bring him again. Mike dropped for a second.
I was in this whole time. I don't know what happened. Like I was watching you guys on my screen,
Weird. I
so
don't
I didn't
know.
even miss anything. Another thing I had about rent and prices and whatnot. Have you noticed like the apartment buildings they're building in Hudson are all like 55 plus?
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
And I'm like,
Way too many.
and I'm
Way
just
too
like,
many.
okay, like that's cool. Like elderly people need housing, but what about the people coming back from college or graduating high school? Like, do they? It's like they were trying to get us out of the town.
That's how I feel, and that's kind of what I mean when I talk about gentrification. Like we're building all these apartment buildings and these condo buildings, and the average worker in town can't afford to live in it.
No.
20, I've been saying it a lot, 20% of Hudson's working population, according to the last census, works in retail. And with the average retail worker earning around minimum wage, there's really no way that you
No.
can afford 1,000, 1,200 as one third of your income.
No.
Like, if you're earning that much, you're probably going to pay for a mortgage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Which, like, it sucks. Essentially, all the people that I know that are still in town, they're married, living with their parents, or living in a sardine box.
Yeah, no.
It's like the
That's true.
town doesn't care about the people. I don't know why. I always felt like the Hudson just never cared about our generation. It was like there was a cutoff like 5 years before us, and
Yeah.
everyone after that they're like, "Oh, we're full. Like,
Yeah.
go away." And like, how do you build a culture of a town if you're bringing in like, if you're not letting the people stay there, keep their roots there, but you're letting other people move in who are gonna probably just flip the house and sell it in 5 years?
Well,
Exactly.
look at it like this too. Look at all the renovations on downtown Rotary and the downtown like stores and all that. If you think about it, all of that was to attract younger audience.
Mm-hmm.
Not obviously youth, but like in the 21s to like 35.
Millennials.
Like there's a reason why there's like breweries there now. Like you know what I mean? Like your average 55-year-old isn't at the brewery. Like that's all towards the younger population. So it's like Hudson wants to attract people in their, like I said, 25 to 35 looking to buy a home, but then it's like with all these houses that are being built that are 55 plus, it's like how are people actually going to get there? And then I understand that they're working on something for like a low income, but like who decides justifiably what low income is? You know what I mean? Like I feel like you're either just under low income or you're over low income, where they think that you can afford these $1,200 to $1,300 a month homes. You know what I
I
mean?
think
always
rent
the
should just
thing
be
with
30%
that.
of what you make.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always that. It's like, if you're making like, $800-900 a week or something like that as yourself,
Mhm.
realistically, you're not going to be wanting to pay half to 60% of your rent on your income. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
we should be tailoring towards a new future where, like, I guess promoting saving and promoting like growth and education to people that are in their 20s.
Yeah.
And I feel like even when we were younger, I feel like Hudson didn't do a great job of that. And the other thing I will say that I agree with you on, Ricky. I do believe that any association or the select board, they have to have a diverse group. And when you see a lot of people that are in their 50s and 60s all joining, it's like, how do you guys know what us, the generation, 2 generations under you, are really looking to get, or what
Exactly.
we want, unless you're sitting there and having a deep conversation with us? You know what I mean? Like most of you all are at your late end of your careers now, thinking for retirement in 10 to 15 years, where all of us, we're still just getting started.
Exactly. Like we're the generation that's going to make this new Hudson if we can afford to stay here.
Yeah.
And we have, selectmen. It's a lot of it has to do with that learned experience. Like our parents and the generations above us were lucky that they were able to buy cheap. They were able to get their houses cheap. They were able to get cheaper apartments. I hear it Cumbies all the time. People being like, "Oh, when I first like lived in Hudson, it was so cheap. Now I don't think my kids would be able to live here."
Oh, yeah. When I lived there, we had a 5-bedroom house basically, and my parents paid, I think, was like 1,300 on rent.
My apartment on Pope Street, I think, was like 850.
Yeah,
But that's still kind of a lot because it was like one room. Like
yeah,
I was an actual bedroom that was decent size, which was my room. And then my mom's room was like a little tiny, like walk-in closet almost.
yeah. But
But I
like
had a
Mike,
living room in it.
I don't know
Have
if
you
you
ever
ever
been
went.
to my house? Did you ever go inside of my house? I know Jose's been there. He knows what
Yeah,
I'm talking about.
I think I vaguely remember. I think I was only in there once or twice. But you went into mine and you saw that we had 2 floors.
Yeah,
I think you spent
your apartment was like a house.
Yeah, it was a house. It was a house that
Yeah.
they rented out, to my family, and then there was somebody on the 3rd floor above us. But we had, like I said, we had 4 to 5 bedrooms because we made 2 bedrooms. But we had 4 to 5 bedrooms for $1,300 to $1,400. Tell me if you can find that in Hudson now. It's easily going to be $2,500. And at that point, why are you not paying for a mortgage? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like you can't even get rent because you need like rental history. So for me to get this apartment, like I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I actually got it.
I
I was on a waiting list for like 6 months. I
feel like
completely forgot I signed up for it. The guy brought me in. I was like, I don't even know if I can afford this place. But then I got it.
Yeah. I feel like our generation is suffering the repercussions from the people above us that didn't correctly plan for this.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the people above us are just greedy.
Yeah, well,
it's
That's
like
what it is, greed.
I understand that, generations above us, they did what they did to give us a better life as children. But I mean, when we grew up, like we went through the recession, the Great Recession. We watched our parents, struggle with credit and paying for their housing. And it's just one of those things that we saw our parents go through that. And now we are of age where we're looking for housing and stuff like that. And while our parents generation have recovered from the Great Recession, exactly, we're facing the aftermath of it. And it sucks. Like,
true.
Yeah. That's why I really want to have a conversation about it. And I want to meet with advocacy groups and with everyone because it's something that we need to talk about. And it's something, if we're going to maintain this community, that's something that we're going to need to do.
So currently, is there a term on the select board? Like when you get elected, is there a term limit?
No, there isn't.
So you can be on there until your vote, like a majority voted off, or until you decide to step down.
Yeah,
it's a 1-year term, though, right?
3 years.
Wasn't there election last year?
It's the seats are alternating.
Oh, okay.
So there's pretty much every year there's a seat up for grabs, and this year there are 2.
Oh, there is 2. I thought there was 1.
Oh, yeah, I'm so confused about a select board. I think Hudson should just become a city and just have a mayor and like city council.
The charter process for that is so long and convoluted because in Massachusetts, cities and towns are distinguished based off of how their town charter works.
Yeah.
Which is why Framingham was like America's largest town
until it became a city. Yeah.
Exactly.
Huh.
But one thing I do like about the town, the way that the town government works, is the town meeting. I kind of think it's really cool that essentially if you are invested, that you could go to the town meeting and vote on whatever, is on the warrant.
Yeah.
Sometimes I kind of have my critiques because the warrant will come out and there won't be as much information on the warrant as you would want to make an informed decision. Personally, I'm the type of person, I always vote no until I vote yes. Like, I need to be presented with the information to make that decision.
Yeah.
And actually, to that comment, population actually doesn't matter in regards to
Being a city.
distinguishing. Yeah, it's all about there are cities that are smaller than Hudson and towns that are larger.
Yeah, no, I know that. I just wanted to showcase that because I think maybe a lot of people had that same thought where it doesn't matter of population. Growing up, I always thought that's what it was. It's population of the city, of the town. That's what distinguishes it. But no, it's like you said, it's the charter of it.
In other states, it's like that. Massachusetts with its local government system is really weird.
Yeah.
Like in other states, the town can do pretty much whatever it would like within its borders, and then the state will intervene when need be. But in Massachusetts, the state delineates what a town can do.
Yeah.
So it really kind of really is a struggle for towns to do whatever they would like to do. However, that's why I believe a lot in the community leader part of the job of a selectman, because while the town can't do a lot, it can do a lot more with its voice.
Yeah.
And
no, go
continue.
ahead.
Go ahead. Continue.
Well, I was just gonna say, do you feel like whenever you went to one of the town meetings that your voice is actually heard though? Like, I know I asked that question to one of the other people running, Sean, and I know that he said back in the day, or a few years ago, he felt that he wasn't being heard. Like he would come up with an actual issue or a topic to talk about during the town meeting, and it was kind of brushed along or brushed off to the side, and then the select board didn't actually do anything with it. Now, have you had that same experience, or?
I had a similar experience when COVID first started. I sent out a petition to ask the town to not enforce evictions and to do something with power payments.
Yeah.
It really was kind of the start of what I wanted to be a larger conversation about this, some type of economic response. However, it didn't make it onto the agenda, which was really frustrating. Despite the fact I got over 200 something signatories.
Okay, that's what I was gonna.
It was good later on, though. The town did do something eventually.
Yeah.
But which is usually, it seems to be how the town works, is people will bring up something to them and they'll take a really, really long time to finally actually address it. Because you had the Black Lives Matter protests. There were 2 of them. They were really big, right on the steps of town hall, and no one was there except for the chief of police. Besides that, you didn't see the selectmen, you didn't hear from the selectmen, nor did you hear from members of the finance committee, which to a lot of people, including myself, I think that's one of the most powerful committees because they have the power of the purse.
Do you feel they were told to not attend those for a how do I word this? Do you feel they were told not to, or maybe they were told not to attend to either signal, how would I say? Nothing against the movement, but more so towards
people's
the town.
Perception of it. Because people have a perception of what the movement is, or what the Black Lives Matter political group is, or what the protests are. Because it's kind of 2 different things going on with that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just form an opinion based off their first information they get from it.
Because I feel like, I feel like a lot of towns were shying away from it because they didn't want that certain publicity affected towards their town. You know what I mean? Not against the movement or against the people that were starting the movement, but it was like they didn't want their town being mucked up into that, if that makes sense. But like you said, it really starts with the community. So supporting what, regardless of the movement or the agenda that was going on, showing a face there for the communities speaks volumes. And I feel like that's where maybe the older generation doesn't understand, whereas us and the newer generation probably do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why I'm asking that question. Do you feel,
I think it does have a lot to do with perception.
Yeah.
People watch the news and they see the violent riots and they don't realize that 99% of the demonstrations were peaceful,
Yeah.
honestly, including the ones all over Massachusetts. I think that it was political opportunism that
Yeah.
really kind of guided whether or not they wanted to attend or if they wanted to be seen there.
Yeah.
So, and I think on the flip side, that's why we saw the chief of police as well. He wanted probably to make sure that, the police looked good and that they looked progressive.
Yeah. So there was a face there, and it happened to be the chief of police. Because,
Exactly.
so they did the same thing over here in the town that I live in Clinton,
Mhm.
and I walked down when they were doing it, and I saw the chief of police, I saw police officers, I saw firefighters, I saw, I think, town select board. I'm not exactly sure because I'm not really involved with it because it's not my town.
Clinton's yucky.
No, it's just I'm not. I've lived here for like 6, 7, 8 years, but I haven't really associated myself with being a Clintonian yet. I'm still a Hudson person,
I feel
so it's
that.
like different cities and towns that I drove to. I noticed different actions being taken. So I actually never got to drive or participate in the one in Hudson. I know that there was one or two had, but I never participated.
Oh yeah, and
I,
it was a lot of people. It was planned
yeah,
by some kids who had just graduated from Hudson High, and they did a really good job putting it all together, getting out all those people.
that's awesome. I know they. I was in both of them for Marlboro, and
I didn't
that
go
one
to
was a
any of them.
really big
I
turnout.
was working.
Yeah.
And it lasted like 45 minutes. Like I got out of work, I think it was at like 4 or whatever. I got out of work at like 5 and it was already done. I'm like, really?
Hmm.
No, it was until 6
Like
because
when
I
I
got out at 4. I got there at 4:30, and then that's when it started.
or either way, I was like, there needs to be like more. Like, I'm
Columbus
gonna do
Coffee.
a protest that's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I
Need to
feel that.
walk from town hall all the way to the police station and back, right down Main Street.
Jose, you're a little quiet. You got anything else to say or ask?
Of course, I got a lot of stuff to say. You know how it goes. Um, no, I think more or less, Ricky. First of all, just want to say welcome and thank you for just wanting to come on the show or this project and speak your mind and your heart. Second, I want to honor you by just acknowledging the fact that you are one of us or the age group, right? More or less, and the fact that you have the courage to take this step, right, and kind of like throw yourself out there and be a voice and ride the wave. And I'm sure that that itself has been quite the journey, right?
Oh yeah, it
Um,
really has been. But I've met a lot of people, and I'm the type of person I just love talking to people.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of why I work in customer service. I really just want to give people the best and address their needs. It kind of
yeah,
comes back from when I was a kid and I used to get bullied, and I kind of thought the teachers around me, they didn't understand what was going on,
hmm
so they weren't able to address it as much as they would like to.
yeah,
And I've always kind of noticed that in general with leadership, you kind of get to a point where you can't see everything. It's like
yeah,
you try, one can try really hard, but it's just you're limited by your own perspective,
yeah,
which is why, like, I believe that you need to have a diverse leadership because you have more eyes in more places.
yeah.
I hear that. Ricky, let me break the ice a little bit further, right? Did Michael bully you during school? If he
Yo,
did,
yo,
do
wait,
you
wait.
think he owes you
Can I
an
No.
say this
apology?
before he
Listen,
said this?
listen,
Do
listen.
you remember, your sophomore year, you had a class with me at the end of the day, right?
I
I,
think so, yeah.
I was saying that occasionally I would just call you a freshman, even though you were a sophomore, and you would get mad at it. And Jose's like, we need to get to the bottom of why you did that. I'm like, because it's funny. Like he's obviously a sophomore. He wouldn't even be in the class if he was a freshman.
Yeah. But we were more getting at that, like Mike in the most like comical, but not not trying to be a bully or not in the hateful way. But Mike picked on everyone in a sense of like he just like came up to you and like he'd call you a freshman, or he'd be like, yeah, okay, and like like you like Hondas. Why, Mike? Because I'm Spanish. Like you know what I mean? Like it's just
you had a Civic.
Like I didn't have a Civic. I never had a Civic.
That's a lie. You had a Civic with the little Puerto Rican flag in the window.
No, that was the accent.
Anyways,
that was the Hyundai accent.
In a bigger conversation, if Michael does owe you an apology, he'll do that maybe after the show. Or
I'll never apologize.
No, he's fine. He's fine.
I wanted to address that. All right.
Yeah.
Ricky, tell me about. So you mentioned about bullying, right? Tell me about your life in Hudson, and then talk to me about your whole journey in Hudson, and also what.
I want a banana.
Okay, we'll give you a banana.
Aww.
And then this is Raymond Harris. This is
Hi.
my youngest. And then tell us, like, man, like, when did you decide, or when did you look in the mirror and say, like, I'm doing this, I'm actually gonna run, or what led you to that decision?
Yeah.
More interested in the, in the real story of how you got to where you are now, because you're in the show now, not our show, but the actual debate of the future of the town of Hudson that we cherish, we love, and we want to see it grow, but in the right direction.
And a two-part to that is, why did you want to run again this year compared like how you did last year?
Correct.
So like answer all that in your journey.
Back again this
Yeah. So start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, my parents moved here in '97 when I was 3, and then I went all through Hudson High up until 12th grade. I went to Farley jail for kids. But people were nice generally. It was, when I talk about diversity, a lot. I mention that a lot because I do believe that people are they're limited by their own perspectives. And growing up, I would get the teasing here and there when the lights go out for the movies, or where'd Ricky go, and little things like that. But like overall, I liked the kids that I went to school with. And by my senior year, like when I was a freshman, I didn't like anybody. And I don't think I was very well liked, just because I was a contrarian. I was way too much of a contrarian. And a lot of it came from the fact that I used to get told a lot, like, oh, you talk white, oh, you speak white. And I grew a resentment towards people's expectations of what it meant to be black.
Yeah.
And then growing up, after I graduated, I studied a lot, and I came to realize that there isn't a definition to what it means to be black. And I also came to terms with my own identity. I used to really, because I had more of an effeminate voice, stuff like that, people would always be like, Ricky, you're gay. But I grew up in a very evangelical, socially conservative household. So I really, really resented it. And it kind of just led into this cycle of like self-hate, which I grew out of by my senior year. And also that was actually probably the most life-changing year, because it was by then I came to realize, like, I really like living in Hudson. And after that, I went to QCC, and then I went to UMass. When I was at UMass, I developed adult onset epilepsy. And that was really hard. When I first got to UMass, I studied political science with a minor in French. I love the French language, and I always wanted to move to Montreal and work for, this is Channel TV5, which they have correspondents around the world. And here you can get it if you pay like the big money for the cable package. Yeah. But when I was my senior year at UMass, I was having seizures on average every other week. all over the place. It was really bad. So I knew I couldn't leave. I needed my health care, and I had no time to try to figure out health care. So I knew I had to go home, and when I got home, I started talking to people again that I hung out with, not my closest friends, but the other kids that I saw around school. And I really came to remember how much I liked Hudson.
Yeah.
And I would listen to people, talk to people, there's the little things I'm trying to find a place and I can't find a place. Why is it that I'm always seeing them redo the Rotary time and time again? They redid it 2015, now they're redoing it again. There always seems to be work on Main Street, South Street, but my street is still not looking good. And I'm like, that really, that's really bad. And then there's a friend of mine. I don't know if you guys know a dude named Eric. I can never say his last name. Eric Siebert.
Mhm.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
He is one of the best people that I know, and he opened a food truck.
The Texas
And-
one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I told him, I'm like, he was telling me how it was his dream to have one. And, he went through all these other gigs. And, I was like, if he can accomplish his dream, then why don't I go after mine? So then I decided to get involved. While working at Cumbies, I advocated against controversial, but I advocated against raising the minimum age to buy tobacco. I advocated against it going up to 21, simply because I didn't like having to serve kids who were in the military and thinking that they can go out and fight for a country, but they can't buy a pack of smokes. That was actually my very first interaction with town government. I went to the Board of Health. I had this whole a whole presentation. I had all these statistics on youth smoking and how there were alternatives to raising the age to smoke. But they told me pretty much, get used to it. It's going to happen statewide. It's going to happen federally. There's nothing you can do. And that really bummed me out. It just kind of made me think that, I guess there's no place really to have these kinds of conversations. Things are just, they're already happening, and all we can do is watch.
Yeah.
And that made me feel really bad about government in general. And it was actually people at Cumberland Farms who also convinced me, hey, you have ideas and you have a different perspective. You're not one of these people who have been in town generation, who you're members of this of the boys club. So you provide something new. So I was like, okay, I'll run. But after last year, I felt really embarrassed. I'm not gonna lie. I think you guys probably have experienced. There's the whole idea that the hate is louder than the positive. So it was just that ringing all the time in my head, even though I'd only lost by 41 votes. But it was a lot of the negativity, and for a while I was embarrassed to see people. I didn't want people to see me. After the election, I applied for the finance committee because the finance committee had a seat open. One of the selectmen actually came into Cumbies and was like, "Oh, Ricky, you did a great job and got, good on you. You should apply for these. You should apply for some committees." So I applied for the finance committee, and I was denied. I got a email telling me that I wasn't on. They explained to me that they didn't feel I was qualified, that they had picked someone else who was more qualified. Granted, they had a degree they had a law degree in municipal law, so I understood the circumstance. But the one thing that got me really messed up in the email that I received was this anecdote that the person who emailed me was the head of the finance committee, and he told me that he didn't even know about it. And then one day, the head of the select board was his insurance broker. And then next thing you know, he found himself on a plaque in the police station, on the new police station. And he, in the email, he probably didn't mean any harm. It was supposed to be a funny anecdote, but it actually got me bummed because that's a circumstance I'd never experienced.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be calling for car insurance, and nor because generation on generation, I don't know that many people. My parents moved here, and I'm the reason why they knew anybody. So it was, it was really tough, but then I decided, why not run again? I got over that sense of embarrassment and I said, why don't I put myself out there again? If anything, just to be a voice
Yeah.
for people like us, because, as Hudson grows and there's more economic development, you see more stores, and in those stores and in those restaurants, you have more waiters and waitresses and clerks. And, where we, if 1/5 of our town is made up of people like us, why don't we make 1/5 of the voice when it comes to decision making?
Let me so I think in some of your other outlets that you've expressed the similar thing of you hearing a lot of issues. Working at Cumbies has given you that opportunity to hear the people, right? Like firsthand, personal, um, your own ears, right? To hear the issues. What issues are people bringing in? I know we talked about the cost
Rent.
of living, right? We
Yeah.
talked about let's say the same folks on the seats for a long time. What other things did you hear that are could, because I agree with you. I think working in retail or being that tangible to people, you got the opportunity to really hear the mud
The
or
insights.
the real stuff of what people were bringing up, or their concerns, their issues, or the things that they cared about. you know um what were those things?
Well, one thing I heard a lot about is there's at this point there almost seems to be a resentment towards the continued conversation about downtown. And it really came to fruition during the conversation on the Rotary. It's still today such a hot topic issue, and every so often when a truck gets stuck in the Rotary, they, comes up again. And it just, people feel that, while the streets are breaking down all over the rest of town, why is it that all we're talking about is Main Street? And granted, I understand that the state, Hudson applies for grants that help build these things like the Rotary and putting new bricks on South Street. But I think that I don't want to see the time to talk about economic development is over, but we need to orientate ourselves in a different direction. There is the rest of Hudson, and that's something that really affects people, and people again with the cost of living. Um, that's one of the big things that I'd always hear about, and I think it feeds into so many other social ills. Like, we have this, we have the opiate epidemic, and we see people everywhere. Every morning I see a lot of people who are struggling, and I see them coming out of, like, with a million people coming out of one car, and they're all going to the same place, they're all going home, and you know they're all not doing good, they're all not looking good.
Yeah.
And I know it's a cycle. I mean, there are people who believe, in regards to things like drug addiction and poverty, that it's a cycle. That some people, they grew up poor, they make decisions that will make them poor, and then it just revolves in that cycle. While there are other thinkers who simply believe that it's just individuals making individual choices that are individually detrimental to their lives. But I think that it doesn't exist in a vacuum,
Yeah.
No.
and it's something that it's issues like that, they feed into other issues. So if we're going to, if we want to address the issues of our generation and the issues that we see in front of us, we have to tackle the root problems of those issues
Mhm.
the best that we can.
I definitely agree that it's a collective of
Yeah.
factors, right? That contribute to so many things about our town and our concerns, or the things that we
Easiest
see
hotspot for
need
the drug and
improvement.
alcohol
Um,
destination.
for me, the youth is like the biggest passion that I would say I have and that God placed in my heart. And you know, you brought up drug addiction, and I mean this. I think I can talk about this all day long, all night long, day after day, or
Yeah.
until I get in trouble by my co-host and tell me to shut up about it. Enough is
Yo,
enough,
shut up about it.
But in reality, it's true. Um, what has been the biggest opposition that you have seen on your journey, navigating this this lane that you're at, in the politics, but specifically in the town of Hudson? Like, what has been the biggest resistance, um
I think
from the beginning to the end to now? And not be and don't hesitate to really talk about it.
I think a lot of it is people don't know really who I am, and they haven't taken the time to talk to me and get to know me.
Yeah.
When I made a post in one of our community Facebook groups, which it's really interesting now how the town dynamic works. You almost have these new online like town squares. Back in the in olden days, you had the town marketplace where people would
Yeah.
come and discuss that stuff. Socrates has his agora in Athens, and now we have our Facebook groups. And when I posted my announcement that I was running and my get to know me, I had a lot of people commenting all kinds of things, making assumptions about things like how I spoke at the Black Lives Matter protest. People were saying, oh, I'm a radical leftist, I'm a communist,
Yeah.
which is
Aren't you a
100.
libertarian?
Yeah, well, yeah, as you can
Kind of
see,
like,
Gary Johnson.
yeah.
Most of my uh political career has been within the Republican Party. But I'm a liberal Republican.
Yeah.
And I guess what that means to me is I believe in capitalism. I believe I have a tendency towards smaller government and less government intervention in the lives of the individual, which is why like I stood up against raising the smoking age, because again I felt there were other alternatives that really didn't stop people from doing what they wanted to do with their lives as adults. But yeah, so I'm definitely no type of communist, but at the same time, I
Yeah.
am socially liberal. I do believe in social progress. I believe in you know, uh, I believe in there being limits on
Yeah.
government, and we need to hold government accountable. I'm just generally not a big fan of the state, but you know, we everybody has rights. Everyone deserves to be included, and we need to embrace that diversity.
Do,
So, yeah, I'll continue.
I don't know. I was gonna say, do you feel that when you put up your post, your about me, and you saw comments like this, do you feel like people were just attacking you to attack you and had no evidence behind their
I've seen
their
people just
comments?
attacking
Or
him just to attack him.
and like I feel like and that's the other thing with the big social media era. It's like you have so many people who we we call them quote unquote Facebook warriors, where they like to go on and they just attack people for no reason. You know what I mean? And like people don't understand that that is another form of bullying. And like I say it sort of loosely, like I understand we're adults, but like you can still be bullied as an adult. Don't get that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like people are, and Facebook has given it, I guess it's acceptable for some reason. And you look at these groups. I don't know if you were talking about you're from Hudson. If
That is the most toxic Facebook page
there are
on.
like 4 of them, all run
but
by
I'm
different people.
I'm on a few of them. Yeah, yeah.
I'm
No.
only on one of them. I'm on the for Hudson, and I'm like, this is so toxic, and it's the
Yeah.
same like 8 people over and over
I
again.
feel like
Yeah.
I feel like so Facebook has given them like an acceptance where people are allowed to say whatever they want, for whatever. You know what I mean? Like I feel like
exactly.
you don't really see, like you said, you'll put up, you know, your picture or something like that, and people will just start attacking you without actually knowing who you are. Like you said it, no one really, or they didn't know who you were, and they were now just looking at reasons to attack you instead of getting to know you. And like, I guess, how did you, when you first saw that, like, how did you feel about that? And was there anything that you thought to yourself saying, maybe you could change your approach to something, or did you just think, you know, it's just a small group of people, I'm not going to pay attention to them. If anyone really wants to get to know me, I know they will, you know, they will private message me, or they will try to get to know me, to, you know, to know what you're about running for select board.
It was talking about it with like my friends. I compared it to a press conference almost, because there were tons of people and they had questions, and I'm sitting there on my phone on my break at work just try to like respond to everybody. And but while I was at work, I didn't see all of the comments. I remember seeing a pinned post in one of the groups where a moderator said, doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with Ricky, there's no place for racism. Yeah. And I missed a whole bunch of the comments, and I was kind of, it reminded me of high school when teachers used to say like, oh, like, be nice, you have to be nice to Ricky. Oh, it's Black History Month, let's all look at Ricky. I remember we read Huckleberry Finn, and they pulled me out of the class, and they were like, Ricky, this book has the N-word, are you okay with it? And I was like, oh yeah, okay. It was always bringing up the fact that I was Black, and it was embarrassing. It brought me up to that point. I was like, why are people being like that? And it sucks that it's only happening to me.
Yeah. It's like, why are they picking out that one detail about me that doesn't even define me? You know what I mean? Exactly. Like you are Black, obviously, but it doesn't define who you are. Like you were saying, like, okay, move on, get to really know me though. So I guess I understand what you're saying by your you know, you would see that, and I guess it brought you back to high school. I don't remember being in any of your classes where that happened, because that's not cool. I mean, I feel like even back then, even now, I feel like, how is it?
I just picked on him because he was a freshman. I just want to let you guys know that.
Yeah, no,
I'm the bully. I just
People hate to have the hard conversations. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, and that's why they use, like, maybe that's one of the reasons why they picked you aside, or they brought you aside, was like, oh, they have this. And it's like, maybe they assumed that you would react a certain way, but it's like, also, why are you assuming things? You know what I mean?
If they think, if they're expecting a reaction, if they think like, yo, we're reading Huckleberry Finn, there's mad N-words in here, we're gonna pull Ricky aside, maybe don't read the book.
Yeah, or at least like ask the whole class, because you know
take an anonymous survey.
Kids. Right? There might be some white kids who don't like the N-word. I just It reminds me that I'm not like everybody else, and there are only like 5-6 Black kids, at least when I was in school.
Yeah, there was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, there were not. And if you include the kids that were mixed raced as well, like
I don't include that. Like Brandon Payne-Druin, he's white.
Yeah, well, Mike, you said the same thing about
Black,
me.
Brandon's white. One gets to be Black, one gets to be white.
It's okay. Mike says the same thing about me. Whenever like Jose and I would hang out with like the Guatemalan and Mexicans, he's like, no, Edwin, you're white. You don't count.
Yeah, you're with me. He's one of me. He's Puerto Rican. He's one of us. I just claim everybody.
You're American. I'm like, okay, Mike, thanks. Bye.
Yeah, you're my American. Oh wait, it comes over here. Ricky, I remember going back to the Facebook question and answer thing. I remember one lady last year, right? And like she like just said, like, I forget what she said, but she said like something directed towards you, and then you replied to it. She's like, either way, I'm not voting for you. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, it's like it just stood out to me because like, okay, this lady kind of just like the way she like proposed her question, like kind of attacked her. I forget what it was. It's probably deleted now. But like proposed it and then just kind of like, well, it doesn't matter how you explain yourself. I'm not going to vote for you anyways.
Yeah.
And I'm just like
Also
thinking, like, why even like, what was the point of even like communicating? Like, if you already made up your mind, why even ask a question?
There was
You
actually
know?
one person who, and this actually got me a little messed up too, when he just posted on the post with no context. It was just like, oh, Black Lives Matter, hate Christians and Jews, and they burn down churches. And I responded, I was like, what is it? What are you trying to say about me? Because
Yeah.
it was out of nowhere. And he told me that, oh, this is why I wouldn't vote for people like you. You always need to bring race into this. And
They just brought in race to it.
But he was the one that started.
Yeah.
So
then they deleted his post, and he messaged me on my campaign page telling me, "Oh, liberals like you always want to delete things when we're telling the truth." And I was like, I didn't delete your.
You're not
comment.
an admin. You're not an admin of
Yeah.
the Facebook group to delete anything. I feel like I said, it's going back to what I was saying. I feel like you have, not just you yourself, everyone has this small group of people who just like to attack you for no reason. And I feel like there's no basis behind it. And the fact that anyone would bring it, like you were running it for a campaign, you were campaigning for a select board of Hudson. It had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. It has nothing to do with any type of movement. And when you bring that in just to start a commotion, I feel like that's where people that are bringing negative publicity to you, that's where it starts. And then you see people who see that they see this comment and they're like, oh, well, if this is what he's about, maybe I'm not about that. And that's where it brings negativity to you. And it has nothing to do with that. And that's why I feel that the moderators of like Facebook and these groups or whatever have to do a better job. But they
need to literally like you have to request to post something. Like
there's groups that do that. When I post something, they have to approve it before it gets posted. And then there's other ones where they don't want to be an admin like that, and they just allow anything. But if it gets enough commotion, they delete it. Because believe me, the Clinton page is no better. It's
probably trashier because it's Clinton.
Well, I've had arguments with people regarding the Black Lives Matter, and basically telling me people straight up that only animals stand for that, and I was like,
well, we're all animals.
Yeah, believe me,
we're animals. We have nipples.
And at the same time, you have to take it sort of with a grain of salt, because it's just people trying to rile you up and to make you to make you seem something that you're not. You know what I mean? Is to get that beast out of you when you're not even trying to do that. You know what I mean? You're trying to spark positivity and change, and that's where people really need to look at it.
And that's why I troll people. I don't have the energy or the time to like take it seriously, because nobody's trying to listen on the internet anyways, right?
Yeah.
Like you can post a 5-paragraph essay with a perfectly formed thesis solving a problem, and people are like, nah, fake news. It just doesn't matter. Like nothing
no point.
Matters.
Yeah.
So like and it's just so like trying to like explain like simple like little things, like just Black Lives Matter, for just trying to explain the simple concept of that to people. It gets embarrassing after a while, because I'm like, dude, like how are we even the same? Like how are we from the same community if you think so differently than this?
Yeah.
You should be looking at it like, yo, there's people in your community, like the community as a whole should look at it like, all right, someone in the community is being brought down, let's bring them up,
Yeah.
But it's like they take it and then they just push down, boom, bang.
And I have to give credit, like a lot of people did, especially like at Cumbies. Honestly, people would come in all the time and they'd be bringing me up. They'd be like, Ricky, like, don't let the hate bring you down. Like, there are a lot of people in town who respect you, and they respect what you stand for. And, you shouldn't feel like everybody else just doesn't want to, like, they don't want to hear from you, which that brought my spirits up.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. Because it sucks when you think that everybody hates you.
But
like, I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. Exactly. And that's why they always say, ignore the hate and
also
stuff like
Also to that, I feel like it's annoying when people post something and they think you're going to ride with their post, and it's like I'm a human being. I'm not a PLS. I'm not going to stand for what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
said, I've been not to badmouth Clinton, but I've been in his
Bad mouth it,
Facebook
dude.
page.
It's trash.
But
Let
I'm
the
saying
damn break.
I've been in a Facebook page where someone had a valid argument and that person got kicked out in favor of everyone else because everyone else was bashing their Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
And I was like, how are you not part of the problem when you're doing that? So they kicked anybody out who they flat out put a post was like, if anyone agrees with it, like it, and we're gonna kick you off. All of us got kicked off.
Oh my god.
And I was
It's
just like, how do you stand for that? Like, you know what I mean? And what she said it was nothing, nothing insulting. It was nothing like shaming other people. It was just her general opinion. And they were like, oh, it's not needed on this Facebook page. But you go to the page, and it was like anything regarding the community should be shared. It was something that was going on in the community,
isn't
but they
Clinton
didn't
more
like
diverse than Hudson?
they didn't like it, so it was removed. And then that's how I feel. I feel like you go on these, or you go on a page or whatever, somebody posts something, and people expect other people to ride that same wave of hate, and it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call you out for your stuff because I don't agree with you, but I'm not going to pay too much attention to it because I know I'm not going to change your mind.
Yeah.
Um, but
That's something it took me a long time to learn. I used to be a keyboard warrior. I had to like I went through a
yeah,
time where I deleted Facebook from my phone. I was like, I can't be fighting everybody and their cousin.
yeah,
Because
no, no,
also when you're thinking about your response and not listening to the other person, or not actually like genuinely trying to take in what they're trying to say, all you're doing is spreading toxicity.
yep,
I
yep.
really don't think anyone's trying to listen to the other person.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually when it's an argument like that, no one's no
I
one's coming to
never
a common ground.
Hmm.
actually, you know what? I did win one Facebook argument about Harry Tubman being on the $20 bill, but that's because I just asked the question like, why should it only be politicians on money? Like, why not give it to other American heroes? And then the person had no argument for that.
Yeah.
But like, because that's where everyone was going with that. But that has nothing really to do with that. But people just don't want to listen. Like they have their opinion and they get stuck in this echo chamber.
Mhm.
And Facebook only shows you the stuff that you respond to.
Yeah.
So now you're just seeing that over and over and over again.
Yep.
Yeah, and it builds into the whole idea too that like you're right and that everyone else is wrong, and then you just
Yeah.
and fight off that precedent, off that premise, not thinking that people the consensus. You need consensus. Other people have points too, and then you got to take them all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
think
guess going away from Facebook. No, yeah, go ahead. No, Jose.
one of the things that you talked about, Ricky, was how some of these experiences brought you back to high school, right? co- do we get a consensus that sort of like our high school years and the issues that we saw, and perhaps then we were much too young to take a stand, or some of us were just ignorant and didn't really care, or were too busy distracted by culture, or you name it, by entertainment. um
Mhm.
do you think these dilemmas, right, or these issues carry on to the adult life of the town? And if that has been the case, right, for years, I know one of the things that we talked about back then was just kind of like the selfishness, and I don't know if people were aware of that,
Yeah.
but sort of like families just caring about their own circle and their own people or their own collective, and then it was kind of like cliques, almost like in high school,
Same thing.
but almost
Hmm.
but you apply that to the adulthood and it was the same thing, and us as kids you know looking out into the world, we were able to notice that. And what do you think contributes to that? Is it the fact that people become selfish based on the struggle that they had to undergo, or how much they had to fight for their money or to get the things that they've attained, and then that gets them to be close circled, right? And kind of like be damaged in the sense of like, since I went through this struggle, since I had to work this hard, then they other people should have to undergo the same thing. um and I know I brought up a lot of things, right? So I don't even know if it's a question, but like, what other issues or what do you think about this? You being a young voice, a young heart, or one of the probably the youngest candidates running, right? Or that wants to have a voice in this kind of table, on this kind of table.
I think actually you hit the nail right on it. I think that it has a lot to do with, I talk a lot about solidarity between people, which is, the idea that people are united with they share the same circumstance, so they feel that with each other. And I think that, you graduate with certain friends, you meet certain people at work, you have those commonalities, and you gravitate towards them. And then on the flip side of it, you have these struggles and these ideas that you share amongst your friends, and you get stuck in an echo chamber and you look at people outside of that group, and it's colored by the way that you and your friends and your loved ones see them. So like, it's one of those things that it's just circumstance has a lot to do with it. Like, you look at conversations on like race and classism, and usually the response to when you say Black Lives Matter or talk about a concept like white privilege, usually the response is I grew up poor or I've been a victim of sexism, which those are struggles. Everybody has struggles based off their identity, and no struggle is better or worse than another struggle, but rather they're different. And we're
Yeah,
all made up as individuals, and we all are made up of different identities: class, gender, race, sexuality, all of it, national origin. And because of that, you have people who, they they get prejudices that may not be necessarily hateful, but they're just kind of circumstantial. You know,
yeah,
y'all share the same experiences. You share the same experiences with certain peoples, and then, well, certain individuals that you think represent certain peoples, and then you end up with a prejudice
yeah,
towards race,
yeah.
sex, all different types of identity.
Definitely. I feel like Jose was saying too, like how he was saying how clicks kind of when we're younger, how clicks kind of define that. Like you were saying, when you come from a certain class or certain race or people, and you usually tend to bond with people that are like you. You like usually like that's how you form cliques. That's how a lot of cliques get formed. It's like the Spanish
Mhm.
crew, the kids that the all black kids, the kids who who the kids that are into Star Wars, but like things like
Exactly.
that.
Nerds.
Like you said, nerds. Hey man, um,
Yo, man,
so
the
I feel like
Mandalorian was garbage, by the way. I just want to throw that out there.
I think you.
I watched like the first 3 episodes the other day, and I was like, "This is it."
I think the concept is too great for you, and you
I
should
think
rewatch
it's
it.
too slow and boring.
So
You're interrupting me, Michael.
I just want to. You talked about Star
Oh,
Wars. I'm just saying that.
I know, but what I was trying to say is basically like how much do you think like immaturity factors into it as well, and the fact that and we when you're young you're supposed to be immature. I want to get
Yeah.
that square. Like you should be immature. That's you haven't gone through life lessons just yet, or the important life lessons just yet to build that type of maturity. But how do you feel that maybe a lot of people take that immaturity with them, and that's why we continue to see these prejudices, or you see people that react a certain way towards a group, or like you said, people are just attacking you for no reason. And how much do you think the immaturity have followed with them? And I don't want to blame the immaturity as an excuse because it's not an excuse. But how much do you think that factors in?
You know, I'm a little hesitant to say that it has to do with immaturity, but rather the experiences that one had getting towards maturity.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people who you kind of have theories on life,
Yeah.
and you get that as you grow up. And I
Yeah.
think that they manifest in all different types of ways. And I think that actually adds to the prejudices that one has. Like, you look at someone, you look at the groups that they may partake in, the things that they may like, and then you have some type of assumption because you had grown up and you had realized that whatever it is that these certain people act that way, whether it is like, they like Star Wars, or they're from another country or speak another language.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's because of that people develop these prejudices.
Yeah.
But I think that with maturity, it's no longer like, oh, I'm gonna make the comment in class at that person, I'm gonna make a veiled or some type of veiled comment. Rather, it's just the awkward looks, or the veiled comment on Facebook, and
Yeah.
not wanting to hear that other person because you presume you already know what they're gonna say, and you presume they're already illegitimate in their ideas and in their experiences. And so, yeah, I think it has a lot to do with how one matures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
How
I'd
does
agree with
this
that.
how does this apply in the real life right now as we speak, right? With 2021 and you're running again, um, do you still see like, or how can we make it even more clear or more transparent of these issues that are still going on or that are going on, maybe not still, but that are going on in the town of Hudson, right? So let's make Hudson our point of discussion now. And if, let's say for me, right, like let's talk about downtown, right? It's doing amazing, it's doing great. And I brought this up when Sean was on the show with us, and all the power to the people who are, benefiting from the business aspect of things and everything, right? um but what is like, is Hudson really doing better, or is it just a show, right? Is it
Mm-hmm.
just the on the outside we're doing great money wise, some people are doing great, or downtown is doing great, or Michael brought up the fact that maybe it's just the one business owner who owns like what, three businesses, he's doing great, all the power to him. But what about, like you said, right, Ricky, the rest of Hudson, um and Hudson as a whole, like how are we really doing as a community?
I
um
think that, to be honest, you take too much of a medicine and you get sick after a while. And I actually feel like it's kind of like that. This Hudson, like what, 10 years ago, Main Street was falling apart, and now it's booming. But our emphasis on that has led to this new sickness, and in my opinion, it's a disintegration of the community. As more people, it's good that more people are moving to town and making Hudson their hometown. But what kind of sucks is that the sons and daughters of this town can no
Illegal.
longer, their children will no longer be able to be sons and daughters of this town. And that's something that's really important to me. And I really want to find a solution. And it's not something that I can just prescribe, because there's
Yeah.
only so much. I agree, there's only so much that a town can do, but rather it's about prioritizing it, working with the area around us, and really trying to do something about this. I mean, these vanity projects, putting more bricks down on South Street, and I would put money on it down, we'll probably end up redoing the Rotary again in 5 years, just like we did it 5 years before it was redone. And that's not helping anybody. Because, like you
Mm-mm.
said, like it's good for those business owners are who own businesses on Main Street, but it's not good for the streets in town that are falling apart. If you're an outsider and you come on to Main Street, South Street, you're gonna see, wow, Hudson's booming. It's wicked chic. Like, they got all these really niche breweries and stuff like that. But not everybody in town is going through Main Street, especially now with the Rotary. People are doing whatever they can to avoid it.
Yeah.
But
I will so I will go into the next question, or not question, but I would say conversation.
Last conversation.
And that would be the drug addiction problem, right? I think what I've stated before when Sean was here was that growing up I felt like, yo, the youth didn't have anywhere to go. Like we had the Boys and Girls Club, um but that was it. Like there wasn't any programs, there wasn't a place for kids to go, kids who didn't have anywhere to go to, they didn't have a place to belong, or a place where they could find, man, that sense of belonging, since it wasn't at home, right? Since
yeah,
trauma was right in their front yard, backyard, all around them, or there wasn't a home to go to. um and obviously, I don't know, right, experience, I don't know what you have to offer, but like from your heart or your mind or your perspective, right? You growing up in Hudson, and I think we just lost. I don't know if he was from Hudson or not. I think another person just died.
yeah,
I don't know if it was
Yeah, there
recent
was a kid.
issue.
Another kid passed away.
So then here we go again, right? We find ourselves
yeah,
in the same conversation. So as much as people don't want to hear about it, man, like I could never talk enough about it, right?
yeah,
Um, and I think I apply the same, what you mentioned earlier, or maybe I'll paraphrase. These are issues that we didn't plan ahead for, um, that our parents or grandparents didn't care about because it wasn't necessarily their issue at the moment. But fast forward 10 years, those grandkids are now dying. Those
yeah,
grandkids or those kids are now falling. Right now, it's our issue. It's in our front yard. Um, and like we never did anything, like we didn't care about the youth, we didn't do anything about the youth, or maybe the ones that had the opportunity to send their kids to, whatever, private sports, or I don't know, clubs or whatever you want to call it.
hmm
All the power to them, but that wasn't the case for the rest of the town.
yeah.
That's
um
the
It's
kid.
what is your input in regards to that, or what can you do if you were to have a seat, what where would you go?
honestly, I guess one of the first things I would do is see what other towns are doing. Um, and we, like you said, you have like it is something that really touches our generation. There are like so many kids that we went to school with who died. I was lucky enough to hang out with to be one of those kids who had a teacher to hang out with after school.
Mm,
It's it kind of sucked for the people who didn't, because you couldn't lounge around, of course, in the high school after after the bell rings. You either going to a classroom, going to the library, or going home. I
and
think
that
it
itself, I think, was an issue. Why couldn't you, right? Like why couldn't
Yeah,
you, why weren't there the resources, etc.? But go ahead.
exactly. That's something that we need to figure out some way to keep kids engaged, and by doing that we keep them away from drugs and alcohol. Because the one thing that really concerned me with COVID is I remember growing up, the whole concern was latchkey kids. There were kids, who went home and the key was in the latch. So you went home alone. But now you have parents who need to go work. Then their shifts they're not accommodating for the school schedule. So we need to do something to keep those kids engaged, keep those kids away from doing problematic things. And that's something, honestly, like I would want to talk to not only see what other towns are doing, but see what can be done in the schools to
Yeah.
to provide resources for kids, to do something. Not everyone wants to join drama club, not everybody wants to join the chess team, but we have to figure something. That's another thing, and it goes into not only the cost of living, but just kind of the aesthetic of town in general, and
Yeah.
the disintegration of our community. Like it's it's hard when you look at an obituary and you know that kid.
Is there anything that like the town or the select board can do in conjunction with like the state
See,
regarding services like that? Like I know like a lot of it would probably be state funding to get like a youth center set up in Hudson for the community. Other than a boys and girls club. I know that's kind of like the youth center that everyone establishes with is the boys and girls club. But I've always said that I felt Hudson needed a youth center where kids would go to, where they would have these type of activities, but it was funded through the state because that's the other thing is most of the families that are probably wanting to take advantage of this aren't going to be able to afford it.
mm-hmm. That's why, that's why I say working with like in a regional manner is something that's really important because it's grants that would help us pay for that. And the way like largely how mass grants work is they give you money and you have to spend the money on that thing that they give it to you. So it really has to do with searching for those grants. And if those grants don't exist, we need to work with our state government, our state representatives to give us that funding, to get us that funding so we can do these things.
Yeah.
Because it drug addiction doesn't exist in a vacuum. Like you were saying, all of these things they come together.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to figure something out.
Yeah.
And we can't ignore the issue. We can't just keep ignoring this.
No, and I feel like that's what's been going on, through the last couple generations, and I'm broadening it, or I'm lumping them all into one category. Yes, there's, in the last 10 years, there's probably a drug addiction towards a specific type of drug or opiates compared to what there was 20 years ago to 30 years ago. But if you look at it, the underlying similarity there's always been a drug issue, and it's either been put to the side or it's never really been addressed head on. And I know that, as Jose mentioned, we spoke with Sean. One of the things that we talked about is, every town had their own DARE program, right? But like, I can honestly not remember what DARE program really was, or what, like I remember what DARE is, but like, I don't ever really remember seeing an emphasis on it. You took it in like 4th or 5th grade, and sixth grade, you took it in 1 year. You either listened to the police officer that was there and the teachers, or you didn't, and then that's it. There was nothing followed up on, and I feel like we all know the kids that are being more subjected to these drugs is when they start high school, and then maybe not be like 8th grade, because I know Hudson. Or does Hudson do that anymore? Do they start 8th grade in high school?
Yeah.
They still do? I didn't know if they moved it.
I thought they moved it to middle school.
They moved 5th grade to the middle school.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So exactly, it may not be starting in 8th or 9th, but it's really like 9th going into 10th to 11th is when you see these kids start to develop a drug problem or a drug addiction, and it may be hidden, it may not be full-fledged on, but like that's why as soon as we graduated, we already had like a couple deaths. And I'm talking 2010. I don't know about your graduation year. I don't know if you suffered anything like that, but like within 2 years, we already had, a number that I can count on my hand, and that's too many. And I feel like, this is all information that was, like I said, was brushed aside or was never really addressed head on. So one of the things that we talked with Sean was addressing that with like the police department, and basically showing more of an emphasis into maybe not the DARE program, or revamping some type of program like that where there was a comment where 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, maybe 9th, all the way through 12th.
Is at the middle school.
I don't know if it's 5th. I think he had said it starts at 5th grade, but it starts in middle school. So 5th grade. But going all the way till senior year, I feel like that's.
Honestly, what you said about DARE, I'm a little sad because I was the vice president of SAD, Students Against Destructive Decisions. So it's very sad to hear that it didn't touch as many people as we'd like. No, I'm kidding. But honestly, it is something that we need to find a new way to address it because, we all took health class and, remember Miss Grassy telling us to stay away from all these drugs. And my sister graduated in 2018 and she had kids coming in that were in my class that were talking about their drug problems from when they were in high school. Kids that I went to school, I was shocked to even know they had a problem, to be honest with you. I think that honestly, it's it's about providing resources more than anything else because kids already know they're not supposed to be touching these things. It's kind of convincing them to actually not be touching these things and providing them alternatives to getting involved with these things because it
Yeah.
really in the end comes from the people who are around you.
Yeah.
I can also say that I was pretty lucky. I hung out with other nerdy kids, other losers who we weren't cool enough to be offered the drugs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything in reality, it wasn't anything I had to worry about, but rather it was other kids who really
Yeah.
did. It was the rebels, more or less, who,
Yeah.
they didn't
Troubled.
feel
As
any, oh well the teachers are just talking.
as Jose would say, the ones who are broken inside.
Yeah. And actually, that's a
Um,
really good point. Like, yeah, because when you look at New England, you really don't think there would be a drug problem.
Mm.
yeah.
All these really nice, especially in Hudson too, nice houses, people from decent families.
Hmm.
And that's what's even more shocking to me when these kids die. They're coming from decent houses and decent families.
And not just that, it's families that have been in Hudson for a very long time. It's like you
Yeah.
said, it's the generations of families that have been there, since the early like 60s and 50s. When they first got to Hudson, like I know a lot of kids that we went to school with, like their parents went to Hudson High, their great great parents went to Hudson High, and like you said, that's one of the things that we're losing out on a lot, especially with the cost of living. Like I don't know if I could say my children are going to go to Hudson. I would ideally love for that to happen, but realistically, I'm not one of these people that make that type of money that's going to be buying a $500,000 house. I just don't see
Mm-hmm.
that. Whereas, the town over, like, where I'm at now, I could see myself raising children here. But I feel like you said, it's just, there's just not a good trend going on where a lot of these people are leaving. We're all moving away and we're not having um, our children stay in the town that we grew up in, and it's kind of like now we're bringing them to a new situation where we have to start over a little bit.
Yeah.
Look what I
And I think that sense of, because, when your parents have come here for generations, you have friends from your parents' friends. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, like their children. That's one thing I saw growing up in Hudson and not having that is that everyone else's parents seem to know each other but mine. And
same,
yeah,
same.
and it's like that. I think it adds to the brokenness of
Mm.
some
Yeah,
kids. It really does. And
no,
it leads into
definitely.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
my
it's a
my
shame.
my family didn't know anyone from Hudson because like they just moved there when I was a baby. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But like if anyone knew my parents, is they knew my dad because he worked at Walmart. That was why
Hmm.
he was the guy to go to. But
Yeah.
other than that, it was Um, so I can relate in that where I didn't have friends that were from
In
the
in the
families
club,
that were there, huh?
in the club, you weren't
In the
part of the
club.
club.
I was part of every club. Okay, I was not discriminated to join any club,
I don't
but
know,
I,
Edwin. I don't remember seeing you in the
ah,
Cool Kids Club.
oh, I was the founder of the Cool Kids Club.
I don't know. Me and Jose were there. I don't remember you going there. You didn't pay your dues.
That's
Oh man,
okay. Listen, I was friends with everyone. All right, I didn't have
Name one
a
friend.
thing.
I
Michael
think
Monroe.
Not your friend.
I think the bigger conversation, right? I think it's time, and I guess I'll speak for myself, but I think you guys can agree, right? us as adults now, it's time that we take a stand, and start becoming that community, and for everybody individually to hold themselves accountable and
Yeah,
take responsibility in whatever lane you can navigate, to take a stand in your lane, be a boss in your lane, and do what you have to do what you can do for that community that that we either once had and broke apart, or that we never had, that we can start creating,
Hmm.
um such as yourself, Ricky, Edwin, Michael, Jason. Jason's a police officer, so is Sonia, and everybody. All of us who are now adults and grown-ups, that within our profession. Let's see how we can start building that community. Um,
Exactly. Like it honestly, it's about all of us in our own capacities. That's how we're going to change things. I always like to tell people it's our inheritance next.
right.
Like we're
Yes.
yeah,
going to be the future generation. So we need to start forming things now so that we can do the best we can to make Hudson better for our kids and to keep the community together.
yeah,
And honestly, like ambition, like we need to think big. We need
Hmm.
to think big and we need to come up with solutions and we need to fight for them. And we need to do what we can to bring them to the top. I mean, look at things like, gay marriage, for example. You had cities that just, they had civil unions that weren't recognized by the state or the federal government. But it was those small things that led to bigger things that led to a Supreme Court ruling.
yeah,
It's about the lowest level of government first, and it's about making pressure to those above us so we can seek out change. And I think a lot of it has to do with, starts here. It starts here. It starts with working with other towns, and it starts with really addressing these problems.
yeah,
We can't ignore them anymore. They're going to mess up our future when we're like, I don't say when we're adults. We're already adults, but so
Right.
52% of our generation lives in their parents' houses. Like
Mm.
that's one of the highest since the Great
that's
Depression.
insane. That's insane.
It really is. So like you have all these memes and these jokes about millennials and their avocado toast, but like that's all we have.
Listen, I eat avocado toast almost
Avocado,
every day.
I love avocados.
avocado
Like, come
toast
on.
doesn't cost $1,500 a month. So
Exactly.
Exactly.
my
Like,
cell phone doesn't cost me $40 a month with the lease on it. Like a lot of these expenses I have, they might add up to maybe like $300 a month, but
Mhm.
that's still $1,200 less than what the rent is.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's true. I
And
100%.
it's
mean,
hard telling people who are like my mom or dad's age this, because like, well, when I was your age, rent was $400,
yeah.
and I made $7 an hour, and I could afford it.
Yeah.
But I
Long
also
gone.
I also hear stories of like my uncles and their back in their day that they also worked 2 to 3 jobs just to live where they lived as well. Whereas our generation won't do that.
We
Um,
shouldn't have to. You
our
shouldn't
gener
have to work
You
multiple
shouldn't
jobs.
have to, which is true. I completely agree. But our generation is viewed as the lazy ones.
You
But
know,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna say I feel you on that 100. My dad worked. Both my parents worked multiple jobs. My dad worked 2 jobs. My mom worked 2 jobs to afford to live in Hudson. But also exactly too, like we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have
No,
to. And like the fact that they did. God bless. But we honestly need to fight for a world where we don't really have to. Past generations, it was easier to live in Massachusetts in general off of just one job incomes. But
yeah,
now, even our birth rate actually is falling because people don't want to have kids because how are
too
you going to
expensive.
afford it?
Kids are too expensive.
Yeah, like really. It's like 15 Bernie talks about $15 an hour.
That's
Like
still like
that
nothing.
exactly. That'll
That's
buy you
nothing.
a roof. Not internet, phone, car insurance. It'll get you a roof to hide from the rain.
Even then, not in Hudson.
Yeah, literally.
Even
My
then, not
biggest
in
problem
Hudson.
with working is like I work full time. I'm an assistant manager, right? I have open availability. I have to have open availability in case of worst case scenarios, right?
Hmm.
But I'm not paid enough to thrive on my own. And like I say thrive, but that to me that's like paying all my bills on time and putting some money into savings.
That's what
Yeah.
I consider thriving.
Exactly. Same here.
And then they want to hire people. Like we're having a hard time like retaining people. You probably have a couple of farmers too. I don't know how you
Uh-huh.
guys work with hours, but you give them 1 or 2 shifts a week. They're getting we get paid bi-weekly, so they're getting a 15-hour bi-weekly paycheck.
Mm.
Then you expect them to come in, and then you're getting upset that they don't come in for their shifts, or they're finding other jobs, and then you're wondering like, oh, why aren't they coming in? And then you tell them that they think there's another reason. Like, no, like you just don't value your employees,
Uh-huh.
and you expect like us to care about our jobs. Like we have jobs, we don't have careers.
Hmm.
I don't know. Are you assistant manager? Or are you just
I just became an assistant manager, and honestly, even to that, like I make 14.50, like working at
what
Cumbies,
that's
and like it's hard to
look, it's a little bit more than minimum. That's what minimum wage is going to be next year, pretty much.
yeah,
Isn't it like 13.70 right now or something like that?
It's 13.50 right now. Next year it's going to be 14.25, and then the year after it's going to be 15. But you're in an assistant manager position, so you probably have like so much responsibilities, but they're paying you the bare minimum.
exactly, and like how are you supposed to? It's like you work a decent job, you try to live a decent life, and
Yeah.
frankly, you see people doing all kinds of crazy things trying to afford to live. I like, you got people doing everything from, a decent second job to dealing drugs to
Yeah.
OnlyFans. And
Yeah,
people wonder
yeah.
why, like, people want to know why this all of a sudden became a thing, and it became a thing due to economic circumstance.
Yeah.
You
It's
ask a lot of these people why they're doing it.
survival.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's like we're in school and we're like told like you work hard, you're gonna have whatever, and then we get to the real world and we're not prepared, and that probably is leading to the drug epidemic with our peers too, because they're like,
Exactly.
okay, like I'm stuck, I can't get out of my mom's house, I have crumbling student loan debt, might as well. Like, what else do I got to do?
Do you think the picture isn't painted correctly for us? Or do you think that they're giving us a false hope of us using that canvas incorrectly?
I think they just didn't care. They didn't even give us a picture. They just told us like, yo, you got to go to school, you go to college, and figure it out when you're 20.
So they gave you a blank canvas and said, "Go ahead."
No, they didn't even give us. They gave us a stapler and asked us to paint a picture.
I feel that.
Like,
Give me an eraser.
They're like,
we left
they're
high
like,
school. They taught us, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. But I look at like my W-2 and I'm like, what is this? Or like, how many dependents am I supposed to write down when I apply for this job? And then not only we end up too being victims of not of ignorance. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, your parents will tell you how to do credit, how to get a mortgage, how to handle your banking. But if you're not lucky enough, you're with a stapler trying to paint a picture.
Yeah.
I was taught nothing. I had to figure out almost everything myself, and I just learned maybe like 2 years ago. I'm
still learning, Mike. I
figured out all of life, and if you have any life questions, I can answer them for you.
Frankly, I think that they should talk about home ec again.
Yeah.
Kids should be graduating. That should be one of the first things, at least.
There should be at least an elective.
Yeah. How do you sign a check? I had to WikiHow.
We actually had a class. We actually had a class. Yeah, we had a class in Hudson High where we got to do all that. No, what's her name? Oh my God, I forget her name. She was the best
like at
teacher.
JFK, and we went to like 6 different teachers in a semester.
Yeah,
they just kept quitting.
Mike, who was the really nice teacher? The blonde lady.
For Jim?
No. She taught a class. It was like like child development or something like that.
I don't know. I'm not a
I
girl.
think I
didn't
know.
take that
Was
class.
it one of the gym teachers?
She used to be a gym. I think she helped out in gym.
Was it
She was
Sweet
really nice.
Grassy or Weed?
No, it wasn't that, either of them. Oh, she was really loud, but she was always like the nicest teacher. Blonde hair, green
Wendy?
eyes. Wendy, what?
I don't know. I'm just thinking of a Wendy that just came through my hair, like kind of like
Oh,
a cut like this.
yeah,
thin.
yeah, haircut like here or whatever. She was sort of short, but she was like the nicest lady. And so we had a class that was actually
don't know.
brought my senior year, and it was called Child Development and Growth. And in that class, like they taught you had like a fake baby and stuff like that. But she also taught us like life values, and she taught everyone how to sign a check and things like that. If you didn't already know, I already did, but
Yeah, I took accounting in sophomore year.
I forget her name. Oh, and I hate that because she was the nicest teacher. I have my yearbook over here somewhere.
You know, honestly, our school system, especially like when I look back, they prepared us just for college, not for life. And
I think
like, if
every
you
school
want-
should be vocational.
I don't think school's main agenda should be to prepare you for college, because as we get older though, or as time goes on, if you really think about it, there's a lot of alternate routes nowadays to college, to not going towards college. Depending on the job field or the career that you choose, a lot of emphasis is being placed on certificates.
Yep. 100%.
It's still schooling, but it's not schooling like college. Like it's 12-month to 18-month course, and you get a cert at the end, which should provide you, enough of education that a 4-year school would give you, but you're not learning the math, science, these required courses. Or I don't think colleges should have to force you to do that. I think that if you're going to do a 4-year school or even a 2-year associates, it should only have classes based on the career that you're going towards. You shouldn't have to know English. You shouldn't have to score math 101. Like if my career has nothing to do with math, why am I taking math? Like I understand. Yeah.
Oh, honestly, I can see some some value to learning, the basics like the math 101, science 101, because it allows you to be a functional member of society. But at the same time,
But that's all taught in high school. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I was talking about high school. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but when it comes to like after school, 100%, not everyone's meant to work in the liberal arts. I mean, frankly, sometimes I think about going and being a plumber, going back to school and being a plumber, because they're talking we're gonna have a deficit in plumbers, electricians,
trades.
Trades. And as we have a deficit in those, the price of those services and the pay is skyrocketing. And those kids, frankly, I know those kids who are like, I'm not going to college, I don't care. Now they're making bank. And meanwhile, like I work at Cumbies alongside kids who dropped out, kids who graduated, old people, young people. Doesn't discriminate. In the end, if you're not going to if you can't find a job, you'll end up in retail or service.
Which is a per service. Almost every job is a service.
Every job is a service.
Yeah.
That's true.
My biggest pet peeve is when people like talk down on like retail, the food industries, but like if you took away like people who make minimum wage in this country, everything would grind to a halt.
Yeah.
Right. You need someone working in. People go to McDonald's. You need someone working in there, right?
This country survives on survives off of people that work minimum wage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so there's so many jobs in this country, right? And I think a lot of people, I don't know, I think they just don't want to put themselves in that same category. But every job is a service. Unless you own your company, you should be on the side of the minimum wage workers, because when it comes down to it, you're next, no matter where you are. Like, if you're working for somebody, this is America. We're a capitalist society. They're going to look for ways to save money, and the easiest way to save money is not increasing your pay with inflation.
Yeah, 100%. They don't raise the floor when they raise the minimum wage. It's like, oh, we have to pay workers more, but we don't. Who cares about the people that are already making close to the minimum wage before the hike?
Yeah.
Like, I made 14 after working 5 years at the same job because I was getting those increases. But as minimum wage went up as well, now the person walking in is making almost as much as I am.
Which is
And all the
BS.
while, it is. And it is a lot to do with classism. They just look at us. They don't want to be like that. And even it goes back to high school too. You don't want to be a garbage. You don't want to be a garbage man. You don't want to be this. You don't want to be that because of this idea, this classist idea that like the goal is college, and the goal is to be a professional, and anything else isn't good. Despite the fact that again they're making good money, and kids who graduated from school, it's saturated now. So many kids. It's funny because per capita, our generation has the largest amount of degrees per capita, but we are one of the poorest. So frankly, it's starting to get to a point where a college degree is a high school degree.
You also look at it like this too. I cannot name how many people in the industry that I work in have degrees, but not for what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like I know a bunch of people who like work in IT, and they do not have a computer science degree. They do not have anything degree that has anything to do with computers. They'll have like a math major degree, a math degree. They'll have a teacher's degree. They'll have a degree in psychology. And I'm like, how'd you get an IT? Oh, I just needed a job. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
they're on LinkedIn begging and pleading everybody and every listing. Like,
yeah,
I've done it. Like, oh my God, please. Like, I'll learn how to use a computer. I swear. Like, oh, please, I'll learn how to sell fish tanks. I swear. Like, because it goes back to that whole thing too. You need experience in order to get a job, but you can't get experience if you don't have a job. And it just leaves us in this position. Just like with housing, you're looking to get an apartment. You need to have references before you get the apartment, but it's your first apartment. How are you going to get the references?
And you don't have any credit because you just turned 20 years old.
Exactly.
Which that can be more on the parents, because there are many ways where your parents can actually help you start making credit before you're 20. Just so you know, you learn that, like, believe me.
Yeah, but like that's just kind of manipulating the system, right?
Also, it's something. Hindsight's always 2020.
Yeah,
it's like that's good for our kids now. Now we'll be able to give our kids those secrets and that wisdom. But like our parents didn't give that to us.
Yeah, that's true.
And now we have to adapt, which is actually why, like I mentioned, our inheritance. We learn all of these mistakes from the generations before us, and we need to apply the solutions to it because it really sucks.
Also, degrees should be based off how much that career makes, right? Like, why am I going to pay like $80,000 for a 4-year bachelor's degree for a job that I'm going to make like $40,000 and starting? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. And then the interest rates are just ridiculous.
Yeah, 100%. Personally, that's why like I worked most of my college, like the whole time I was in college. But even then, you're paying $1,500 a month to come out. And if you like, I guess I made the decision to go into liberal arts, which, with the liberal arts, there isn't a vocation directly attached to it. And you study something like English, political science, psychology, stuff like that. You kind of have to take a bet on yourself. Like, am I going to make decent money? And frankly, for a lot of people, that wasn't a good bet to make.
And that's why they end up in different careers. But
exactly.
Well, also, I wouldn't be mind getting paid the same if the cost of living was lower.
Yeah, exactly.
If rent wasn't $1,500 a month, if it was like $1,000 a month for my 1-bedroom apartment, in a pretty dangerous neighborhood. I will say that I live in Maine South. Like I go 2 blocks over there. It's where Kilby Street was. A block behind me, behind the railroad track, is like you hear gunshots like every other night. But I'm paying $1,500 because of my proximity to Clark University, right? But if I could pay like 1,000, 1,100, that puts more money in my savings, which will eventually put more money to the economy. It just doesn't make it like it's just the way what we were handed is kind of like, yo, good luck. That's what they gave us. They just gave us a tap on the back and like, huh?
Yeah, do it like we did it, but the circumstances are 100% not the same.
Mike, you should have came to live across the street from me. It's cheaper.
I'm not moving to Clinton. I don't know if you understand this. Like,
it's closer to Worcester.
Huh?
Huh?
What? Name one good thing about Clinton. One good thing.
It's quiet. You don't hear gunshots.
Okay, but like now I can't go to sleep unless I hear them. I'm like, are they gunshots? Are they fireworks? Why is there a helicopter hovering over my street? Why are there so many sirens? It builds character. Like it's good.
It builds PTSD.
Exactly.
It builds
Puts hair on the chest.
Yeah, like who wants to live in Hudson? You know where it's
Mike's over here having military war stories over here. He's having night shivers.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I will say this. So where I live, you know Kilby Street in Worcester, right? Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of it, yeah.
It was like a really, really dangerous area like 15, 20 years ago. It was like the main area where people would go pretty much for like prostitutes.
Disappear.
Right. They actually revitalized the area. They like resurfaced all the buildings, painted them, and it's actually getting a lot better. The problem is now all the people who live there really can't afford to move there. So they're getting kind of pushed into smaller areas. And that's like 2 blocks that way.
Yeah.
So like with the gentrification that's happening here, instead like people get pushed out of the town like me and Edwin are from Hudson, they're being pushed into more rundown areas.
Yeah. And it's sad. It really is sad because again it leads to that circumstance of like, you know, people get sad because they're not with the people that they know anymore and they end up, you know, up in the wrong crowds or they end up just depressed. And one thing that's really big in our generation I've noticed is mental health. That's such a big thing, and that's something that was ignored for so long and something that people just, you know, get over it. But we know now that that's not the case.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had an episode on that. I want to say it was like episode 2 or 3. If you check back, that was one of my big points. Was mental health was not addressed to us at a young age, and more specifically into young men. You know, where you probably hear the whole, you know, the age-old saying is "boys don't cry."
Yeah.
Be a man, toughen up. You know, all these little things that you heard as a kid. You know, either via your parents or via your friends or your older siblings or, you know, whatever it was. And that's just what I'm not going to go into it because we could sit here for another 2.5 hours. But like, that's one of the things that I would like to see our generation tackle more and possibly build an outline to our children and our children's children and really looking at that, because mental health isn't new. It's been around forever. It's just nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to address it. I can guarantee you your grandparents had mental health.
Yeah.
You know, young men. And it was worse for them back then because they were enlisted at freaking 16, 17 years old to go to the military. Whereas, yeah, we enlist, but we weren't forced to go. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
My grandfather was ruthless to my dad. Like, I thought my brother had it bad for my dad. And my dad was telling me the stuff my grandfather did. I'm like, wow, you thought you were taking it easy on him. Right? And then I see my brother with his son, like, not trying to do the same things my dad did to him, but it's making him not really strict disciplinary-wise. Because we're not taught how the proper way to discipline. We're more taught, like, yo, I don't know about y'all, but, like, right in the back of the head.
Yeah, same.
Right? That's like, that's good. Like, if like instant danger, like kid's about to get hit by a car, you just pull them out of the street or hit them. But like, I don't. That's probably what we need to focus on, like with parenting. Like, you want to teach
Board. How will you? Oh, we got a
the
question.
young parents or young adults the proper way of disciplining, which isn't like you're not your kid's best friend, but you're not drill instructor either. Like there should be some sort of class on that, right, Jose?
Well, I
I
think
agree.
what you're talking about, right, and it's the bringing it down to like, okay, I'll come help you in a second, all right.
It's okay. We got
The
about another 5 minutes.
Right, I think bringing it down to like, just we gotta heal as people, as individuals, and finding that balance, right? But the only way you'll find that balance is actual healing and undergoing the process, the journey to get to that point. And only then I feel like you'll be able to raise the kids in the best way possible, as opposed or in contrast to how you were raised.
Yeah.
Mhm. I guess to get at the question that's up right now,
Yep.
Yeah.
um, it's about having a conversation with the experts. They're the people who went to school and who studied that stuff, and they come from experience and they have policy proposals. That's why when I say that the orientation of the select board needs to change, of course we don't elect people because they know it all. I think
Yeah.
COVID was the example of that. We didn't elect biologists or doctors. We elected people who we trust their judgment that they will go to the right people for counsel and bring us the best decisions.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you, I can't give you the prescription, but rather I can promise that that's going to be one of my priorities, and that's going to be something that I'm going to seek out the people to talk to about this, because the time to just focus on two streets and just economic revitalization, that that's starting to come to pass, and we really need to talk about the people in our town and how to maintain our community and our children.
Yeah.
No,
Definitely.
no, I think that's definitely the conversation to have, Ricky. But in regards to Main Street and the money situation and the businesses, Michael brought up, so that's for you and for Sean. If anything, I hold you guys accountable. Best case scenario, I would love to see you and Sean both as a team, with the rest of whoever is on the seats. But if we could have Sean, right, on his lane, or from like that generation, and then somebody like yourself representing our generation and that voice, right? That would be
Mhm.
like amazing. Like that would be the best case scenario, I think, for me, my own personal desire, since there's two seats, right, to be filled. But one
Mhm.
of the things that Michael brought up, and just will be my last thing in regards to Hudson, and the fact that there's an opposition for people who are trying to do what was it, food,
Yeah.
the
So
food
it
trucks,
seems
or
like your friend who has a
like a
Texas smoke
monopoly
shop.
going on. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's I remember hearing that the restaurants downtown lobbied, specifically like the Rail Trail and New City Creamery, lobbied to keep out food trucks, right?
Mhm.
Which to me is kind of like, okay, like you're just favoring those people. It seems like specifically those people, like the people who pretty much run that little section next to the Rotary, have
Mhm.
more say in the government than everybody else.
I
If
feel that 100, and
if
people
it
talk to me about that a lot. Someone
Mhm,
told me that the BID essentially is what runs the town,
mhm,
and I understand that one of the big priorities for a town is property taxes, because that's one of the only ways, according to the state constitution, that towns can make money, is largely through property tax. But I just think personally that it's not all about money. It's not all about what we can do to generate the most money. It's
Yeah.
about the community. And what
Agreed.
and what happened with Eric, it's just kind of an example of that. uh that there are certain people, the loudest voices. They're not even everybody on Main Street, because there are people on Main Street who
It's just one section of Main Street. It's just like
exactly.
When people talk about Main Street, they talk about specifically where the Rotary is. They're really not talking anything, I want to say, east of Pope Street.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Medusa down there, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So it's like one section. So it's like, what, like you say, like the time for economic whatever is over, but there's more parts of Hudson that could have a similar economic development. Like I look at Apsley Street. Apsley Street could be like kind of how, what is it, South Street in Clinton? What's the street, Edwin, that's kind of like their downtown? Is it South Street?
High Street?
High Street, yeah. It could be like that, or you look towards Lake Boone, like Lower Main, like that could have like its own little business district. But it seems like the whole town just focused on the Rotary.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of my points too as well. I feel like for the last few years, the Rotary or downtown has been the main emphasis of Hudson. And it's like, that's not all of the town. That's maybe like an eighth of our town. Like,
and that's really the neighborhood we grew up in. So it's like our neighborhood is that area. So to us, it's like, all right, cool. They're doing something where we used to live. But you look at all the parks we went to, they're all going to trash, right? I heard that they're going to fix up malls, but I also heard like they're making it like for like specialized for special need kids, which is not a bad idea because there's nothing for them. But and then you look at Marlboro. Marlboro just had the beach done like 7 years ago. You look at the park. What's that one that used to have the half pipe? They got a skate park, a tennis court, a new playground. They built all that up. But and then you look at Hudson. Hudson has nothing. Like Hudson, and it goes back to what Jose says. Like we only had the Boys and Girls Club. We can't stay after school when we were kids to do anything unless you have practice or you're in a club. Yeah. What were we supposed to do? Like what part of how do we? It doesn't even feel like we have a community. It's like we have our group of friends. We hang out with them, but everyone else is just kind of like background
to each other. Yeah,
like extras.
Yeah.
It's like we all have our own little sitcom, and everyone else is just extras. That's how it felt like to me living in Hudson.
I feel that 100%. Like it's like you know everybody's name, but you don't really know everybody. And the closest we really had to any sense of community, I don't know about you. For me, I had everybody on Facebook. I'm horrible with it, but that's the closest to a community that we feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like you said though, starting a forum or starting a conversation is what's really going to get it going. And, you know, it starts with having the right people on the select board and having the right people, you know, trying to make change in the town. So, I mean, you know, I guess what I'll do is, you know, we have a few people viewing still. I'll give you the last couple minutes, Ricky, and kind of, you know, just give them one last reason, you know, why they should have your vote or why you would make the best candidate.
I feel that I would make the best candidate simply because, well, one of many reasons is perspective. The fact that we're going to have something new in there. You have in the select board people who have been here forever, friends, and people who become friends, and you don't really have any from the outside. I think that that's something that's really important because people feel that they're being left out of government. And they feel that they're just watching things happen around them, and they're being told, "Oh yeah, you could just go to this forum, go to that forum," but they don't realize that it's a privilege to be able to go. The working mother doesn't have the time to go. The 1/5 of people that are working retail, they can't go. That we should have these surveys at minimum. And we should be taking that into consideration. And the only way you can do that is by having people with those experiences in order to take those things into consideration. So I believe that I would be the best candidate simply because I want to help bring Hudson into the new generation. The next people elected are going to form Hudson for the next 3 to 6 years. And you know, we need the best people to do the best that we can to make the best for our community.
Awesome. Ricky, I want to thank you for joining us on the show. You know, I feel like I see this every week. 2.5 hours goes by so quick when we're just sitting there talking and just you know, um, just talking about the community, talking about life, and just having these conversations. As Jose would say, Papa over there, if we're gonna have a conversation, let's talk about it.
Mhm.
Um,
That's
right,
always the
Jose?
first step.
Yeah, I would say yeah, man. You know how it goes, and thank you, Ricky, again. Ricky, one last thing. How can people support you if you just want to let people know how they can support you or how to go
If
about it?
also if you want to comment your Facebook campaign page, you can also do
Mhm.
that on the thing as well.
That'd be great. So you got, yeah, check out my Facebook page. I'm going to have a meet and greet. It's about listening to the people more than it is me prescribing to the people. It's going to be next Tuesday, and I'm going to be doing it with Sina Abbott, who is also running for selectman. His parents own the dentist on Central Street.
Okay.
So we will definitely love to meet people, love to see you guys come out. It's going to be a Facebook Live. So hope to see you guys there.
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Yeah, just throw it. Send us a chat message with the information, and yeah, I'm sure I'd love to at least tune in and see
Definitely. Please do.
what it's about. Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely. Yeah, well, again, thank you so much for being on the show,
And thank you
and
guys for having me. It's great talking about the community, honestly. We've all lived in Hudson.
yeah,
And that's the one thing, like, you can't escape it. And I always tell people Hawks for life
yeah,
because,
exactly,
My jersey.
exactly.
no
It's not
matter where
Walmart.
you
It has my
go.
last
Oh.
name.
What I would
Like Edwin,
ask
I
of
got
you,
one.
what I would ask of you though is, win or lose, if you don't mind, coming back on at least, later down the road, and
Oh, 100.
sharing more of your experience and enlightening us.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to.
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, Ricky, you have a great night.
Thank you.
Best
You
of luck and
too.
everything. Like I said, anything that you are willing to share, just I don't know if you liked our Facebook page or if you subscribed to
Oh,
our
yeah.
Facebook page.
Yeah.
If you want to share it there, just share it there. And we'll get the word out for you, and everyone else will respond as accordingly. And best of luck.
Thank you so much, guys. And you enjoy your night.
Of course. Thank you.
It's
Thank
past
you.
my bedtime.
I
I
feel
know,
that
me too.
100.
Let's
Take
go to
care.
bed.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Au revoir.
All right, guys. This is gonna be a 2-minute goodbye. I'm tired.
Um,
I think we had a good show tonight. That we had Ricky come on, speak a little bit,
a
talk
little
about
bit.
why he wants to run, talk about why he wants to run, and
Yo, where's Jose been? He hasn't said anything at all.
I'm saying he's been quiet, little Mighty
Yeah.
Mouse over there.
No, I think
Um,
it was important for Ricky to say what he needed to say. I think that's the whole point of specifically this
I think
episode.
it's time to kick him off and me and
Yeah.
Evan take over.
nah, I'm going to
So
sleep soon.
have a
What
good
I'm
night,
saying
guys.
next time.
All right, I see. Yeah, I see you're doing daddy duty right there. So.
All right.
We'll talk next time. So again, my name's Edwin. That's Jose, Daddy over there, and that's
I thought you
Michael.
called me daddy for a second. I was like, yo, you just called me dad because you're like, that's Jose and daddy over there.
Nah, that's Big Mike.
I see, y'all. See, it's because I'm too tired. I just forgot.
No last song. Oh, the question.
You know what? I
Oh,
forgot. There's
Ricky,
another
jump back
person I
on.
forgot to ask too.
Ricky,
There's one
jump
other
back
person.
on.
You know.
You forgot to ask Seth, wasn't it?
Yeah, I forgot to ask Seth, but I think I asked Sean, then I asked Alfie. Reminded me last time.
Yeah, but
Who was in between them? Was it just us? No.
It was no, but the episode before, Alfie was just Jose
Oh yeah, and then
when he went solo.
I don't know.
Yeah, but all right, guys, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. So Y'all have a good night. H-Town family, thank you for tuning in. You guys have a good night, and, stay safe. Until next time.
Jose already left, so
Yeah,
I don't know why
clearly.
you're doing this.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to kick him out.
Yeah, kick him out. Yeah, I just want to say one last thing. It's kind of disheartening when Ricky said that he felt discouraged after he lost. Because I was actually really happy for him because he only lost by like 40 or whatever.
Yeah, it was only 40, but
So,
I
like,
think what he's trying to say is like,
it's a negative, like, and it's the
Yeah.
same thing with my work surveys. Like we were talking about earlier, like they only focus on the one bad thing. He lost by 40 something. That means
one vote.
almost half the people who voted for him.
Yeah.
But like the little amount of people just discouraged and brought him down, you know.
Yeah, and and that's just the process of growth. So hopefully, this time around, since there's 2 seats, it goes a lot better and smoother for him. And like I'm a big advocate of having someone from my generation join the select board because, like I
just
said,
want people who care about the town and not themselves.
yes, but there's also different viewpoints that someone our age is going to have compared to someone that's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I mean, I know
said.
Ricky, and I see him on Facebook, and there's some like stuff politically I disagree with them about.
yeah,
Well, I still voted for him last time. I can't vote for anyone this time because I live in Worcester, and I changed my voting thing.
yeah,
But
that's fine.
I usually vote based off people's character to make the right decision rather than what the actual political belief is. Because if you have good character, then if you're faced with the decision, you're gonna try to make the best decision rather than what you think you should make, or what you're being pressured.
True. All right, man. I'm out.
All right, me too. It's past my bedtime.
Later, H-Town family.